Welcome to Fear Coded, a podcast where we talk about media from the horror genre and take a queer reading of a single book, video game, film, podcast, or TV show to explore just how queer horror can be. This month, we're getting a little silly, a little wacky, downright clownish. Yes, the scariest theme of all is here, Auguste, a whole month dedicated to clowns and the nightmares that they inspire. And in this episode, we're talking about a big one as we tackle our first TV miniseries with 1990's It, directed by Tommy Lee Wallace and adapted by Lawrence D. Cohen from Stephen King's 1986 novel. I'm Tyler.
I'm David.
And I'm Marilee.
Now, before we hit our fists against the post and still insist we see the ghosts, I want to check in with my co-host to see how things are going for them. In a landscape of horrors that our real world has to offer, what's making y'all scared or what's making you feel prepared? I'm not going to lie again, I'm actually starting off with a little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
Yes.
Both?
So greedy right at the jump.
I know, right? I am... Well, this is one of those times where it's like, my source of both is the same thing.
Okay. And what is that source? What is at the root of all these things?
So I have a friend visiting, and he's been playing a video game for me that I have heard a lot about. If you are terminally online as much as I am, especially in video game spaces, you would be familiar with it. He is playing Deltarune for me.
Okay, this is by Toby Fox, the person who made Undertale.
Correct.
Yeah, I've heard many things.
Yes, this is like the sort of sequel, not really, kind of spiritual successor almost. It's kind of complicated to Undertale. It's being released in episodes. They've been releasing them since I think like 2018, and they just released episode 4 a couple weeks ago. It is a really, really good game. I don't want to play it, but I think it is it's really creative. It's always different every episode. So there's new gameplay that's being added in. The art design shifts around quite a bit as the story progresses. And it feels different and like a natural succession to Undertale. Okay. So if you really loved Undertale, and for some reason, if you haven't played Deltarune yet, I highly recommend it. Or getting a friend to play it for you and then watching them play it. Because honestly, I think it's more fun to sit and watch it be played than to actually play it. Because playing it seems kind of stressful. And that's why I'm a little scared. So I'm prepared because I really like Deltarune. But I'm scared because the game seems that it's going to make me cry at some point very soon.
I expect that it will.
Yeah, and I'm really afraid of that. And I'm like...
Why are you afraid of your emotions, Tyler? Why can't you access your emotions without fear? Come on now.
I'm afraid enough already, Marilee. I want video games to be a form of escapism. And so far, so good. But God, sometimes the escapism, it hits you in the feels. So I'm afraid of having to experience the whole wealth of human emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I respect that.
I respect that as well. I, like Marilee, want you to feel. And so we were all supportive of Marilee when she was going through her struggles with the sea pig of Animal Crossing. I think we will be here to support you in whatever correlative experience you have with Deltarune.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What about you two? How are we feeling?
Well, I'm feeling prepared today.
Yo.
Wait, but why? Why, Marilee?
So, here's the thing. I like to crochet. It's a really fun little hobby that I like to do. But the fact of the matter is that I'm actually a pretty slow crocheter. I didn't realize this about myself until I got on TikTok and I saw people were like, these are the things I crocheted this month. And they would pull out a whole giant bag of stuff, and I'm like,
oh my god,
that's insane. Who's doing it that fast? Anyway, so I'm a slow crocheter, but I have completed not 1 but 2 projects this week, and I'm feeling very proud of myself.
Slay mama.
Do you feel like you're in a space where you could share what those projects are?
They're 2 different baby blankets of various sizes.
Fabulous.
Several of my friends and acquaintances have children of various ages and sizes, and I made some blankets for kids, and I like doing that, especially because depending on the weight of the fabric or the yarn, some of them can be pretty quick to come together, and some of them can be pretty small because they're for little tiny babies.
Right.
So that definitely contributed to factors, but the fact is I still completed 2 projects, and I feel great about that.
Do you anticipate that these blankets that you make, will they remain with these children through like develop? Is this like a Linus situation that you're giving these kids?
Well, so I haven't started because several of people that I know have had kids that are like pretty recently. So like there's a bumper crop of babies that need blankets. So I'm working. But the person who's kind of like last in line is the second kid. And so apparently they're still using the blankets that I gave them for their first kid on their new baby. So
sacrilege. That has old baby smell on it.
I don't know about that, but I think it's nice that they're like still in use and well loved, and I like that.
Yeah, okay.
The new baby's gonna get blankets, but I was not invited to like things were hard, but the first baby in that family got the blankets as like a baby shower gift, and I didn't know about the new baby, so I didn't make them blankets and stuff for their baby shower, and that is why they're last in line right now.
I had a blanket as a child that I called Dee Dee, and it was like a very important blanket to me. I was far younger than Linus when I let it go, but I always resonate with the idea of a baby blanket and how important that is.
Yeah, I had a blanket that I was really attached to as a small child. It was not like a crocheted thing. It was like a quilt that I think my nana made for my eldest sister. So like, there are three daughters and a son in my family, and I'm like the third kid. And so when this blanket got to me, I kept it. My younger sister did not get this blanket, because by that point it was mostly rags and kind of like a stuffy. And I loved the hell out of that thing until it disappeared when I was 6, probably because a parent threw it away.
To be loved is to be changed.
It's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel really great about the 2 things that I made. One was and this is going to mean nothing to probably the majority of the listeners, but if there's one other crocheter, homie, I got you. I made a corner-to-corner blanket using a 5.5 centimeter crocheting hook, which again sounds like nonsense, but that's actually a pretty complicated blanket, and it was used 2 skeins of wool, and it was pretty large, but it was for like a toddler who was maybe like 2 or 3. I forget the kid's age, but this is a kid that's newer to me because this was actually my sister got married recently, and his brother has a kid, and so I made a baby blanket for this kid that I now know, who's really lovely, and my sister is in love with this kid. Yeah. So I made him a blanket, and then I made a big blanket. It was like a starburst ripple pattern in a 6-pointed star. No, excuse me, it was a 7-pointed star. And my sister, when she had her second kid, really loved this kind of blanket because it's perfect to put under a baby in a walker, so they have a nice safe place to like stand and walk around on. So I made another one of those for a baby who is, I think, 6 months old.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
There's a lot of babies. Bumper crop, as you said.
A bumper crop of babies. They all gotta get blankets.
Yeah. Oh, gotta get blankets. Tyler, did you have a baby blanket?
I had a baby pillow case.
Oh,
Okay.
cute.
So
what is a pillowcase if not a blanket for a pillow?
Pretty much, yeah. It was like a golden color, very, very soft. I used to like rub it all the time like this, especially like the little like pillowcase corners, because like I don't know, there was just like a little bundle of yarn or something in there that just felt like really good to rub. So I don't know, maybe as a little child I was stimming, but like it was just like really, it was just very soft and like velvety, and I think my mom still has it, but it's like really fragile now, so really shouldn't be using it. Also, it's like 30 years old, so you probably shouldn't sleep on it. Yeah,
and it was. Yeah, it was from a different time in your life.
Yeah, but if your mom still has it, you should get that back, homie. It's yours. Just do special.
No, but I like her to have it because it reminds her of me when I was little.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
She looks at it and she goes, "A better time, a better time when he was just an infant."
Classic Rhonda move. Well, David, how are you feeling? Are you prepared or scared?
No, I come scared today. I come scared to all of you, and it the source of my fear is a source of something that is about light. It is about light in the world. But I'm scared this week because we had a technical malfunction where we could not open or close the blinds in our home, which are all electric.
No.
Oh, no.
It has been repaired. So here's the thing. We have one curtain. It is in the bedroom to like take care of any errant light that could get around the blinds. But we have mechanical metal blinds on the exterior of all of the windows in our home. And at the push of a button, what would normally happen is a whirring apparatus lowers or raises those mechanical metal blinds. They do a great job of keeping heat out. They do a fantastic job of keeping light out, unless you are a person who's like, I must have absolute complete darkness. And that's why we have an added curtain in the bedroom.
Is it you or your husband who needs
no, it is definitely Mike. I can fall asleep right now with this much light. In fact, I'll just... I would have no problem falling asleep day or night, no matter how lit the situation is. I would do very good in one of those like torture situations where they try to make you not sleep by being so bright. Good luck getting the information, because I will just go asleep instantly asleep. That's my superpower. Anyway, it is resolved, but we had a moment of panic because it's a little scary, because then you can't also like access cool air if they're closed, because they are like literally like bomb shelter blinds. So it was a little startling. It was a little startling. We have resolved it. And just in case it becomes a problem for the future, so maybe I'm both too, because I'm now a little bit more prepared for this to happen again. We have bought a battery backup system that we can use to get emergency power for the apartment, with essentially like a giant marine battery we now keep in the closet.
Well, I'm glad that you're prepared. So am I to understand that the blinds were stuck in the closed position or the open position?
Great question, Marilee. They both. Places where I wanted
both worlds.
Yeah, places where I wanted them open, they were closed. And places where I wanted them closed, they were partially open. It was truly the worst of all situations.
So when you say you're a little bit of both, it was really like 90% fear and then 10% prepared, because that sounds like a worst case scenario.
Yeah, the battery is exciting. The battery to have is exciting. I believe that I was sold the battery as, wouldn't it be nice if we had this thing where if you were in the middle of podcasting, you wouldn't lose power, which is how it was sold to me. And it will never be used in that function. Like literally, why would I plug this thing in before podcasting and drain it and then have to refill it? Like, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to lose power. It's fine. But good job to my husband, who used to sell automobiles and sells me everything as we have gone through our marriage. Literally everything.
That's cute.
Well, Gain, I like, not to really kind of like jump on David's trademark transitions, but like we had a little bit of everything that makes up it in this episode so far. We've had a game about misfit young people in a world that they don't understand. We had babies, which Pennywise loves to eat, and we have fear. David's brand of fear, because if there's one thing that David is known for, it's being afraid on this podcast.
That's true. That's true. And the light and the darkness.
Yeah, no, and a little bit of like preparing for the future. So like we really have it all.
Yeah. So David, like I don't think we've ever been more ready to talk about an episode. So please lead us in.
Tyler, pass me that placebo inhaler, because today we are talking about the 1990 television miniseries It. The miniseries is an adaptation of Stephen King's ludicrously successful novel of the same name. The cast contains child and adult versions of the characters, which includes famous comedy actors like John Ritter and Harry Anderson, and dramatic actors like Richard Thomas and Annette O'Toole. Oh, Annette O'Toole, still my heart. I forgot she was in this and just had... What a joy. Tim Curry's Pennywise the Clown, the titular It, is acclaimed as one of the scariest clowns in pop culture.
The miniseries is about the Losers Club, a group of kids from Derry, Maine, who grow into adults living across the world. The losers were terrorized in their youths by an entity known as Pennywise, a shape-shifting monster who feeds off of fear, pain, misery, and, really, children. The losers managed to defeat Pennywise, but 30 years later, they must return to Derry to finish the job before Pennywise continues his spree of death and terror.
Although concerns regarding the story's graphic nature worried executives about viewership numbers, It was a major success. The second part of It garnered more home VHS recordings the month of its premiere than anything else on television. In the years since, discussions of the miniseries focus mainly on Curry's Pennywise, but we're excited to talk about the miniseries as a whole today. And we are going to try and focus our conversation on the miniseries instead of talking about the book or the more recent movies.
Yeah.
So what is everyone's experience with the 1990 miniseries Stephen King's It?
So this is fun because this is actually a David recommendation. Little peek behind the curtain for everyone. Because when my cousins and I were young, we watched the live miniseries of The Langoliers, which happened in 1995, also on CBS, I believe. And that sort of instilled upon us an interest in other Stephen King adapted films.
Mm-hmm.
And I had read the novel It. And so we looked for It at the video rental store, and it was there, and it was the 2 VHS version. And don't worry, I did a lot of research on this, and like none of it matters, but good Lord, versioning on this was so complicated, truly and honestly. There was apparently a 1 VHS version that played at like 1.15 speed so that they could get the entire movie on 1 VHS.
Oh,
That's
God.
insane.
Different kind of horror.
Yeah. My God, everyone's on speed.
But yeah, as I mentioned, I had an opportunity to read the book. We were at a garage sale, and I was given a set amount of money. And already being the economist that I would later become, I found the largest book on the table that said all books $2. And I was like, bang for your fucking buck, baby. This thing like is a deadly weapon in paperback. It was huge. It hurt my hands to look at, but I read it all summer long while I worked the fruit stand, selling fruits and vegetables from our farm. And I don't remember the novel being particularly scary, but we will talk about this miniseries and our experiences with that. What about y'all? Marilee, what is your experience with the miniseries It?
I'm almost positive I saw it on TV at least once, but I have very little memory of ever doing so. Like, as I was watching, it was like, okay, yeah, no, I vaguely remembered the scene. So again, I probably watched it, but before this, I honestly would have said, no, I don't think I ever had seen it. Tim Curry, though, what an icon.
Truly, what an icon.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Tim Curry was the reason I didn't watch It until we were prepping for this episode.
Really?
Oh.
Brand new for you.
Brand new It experience. Yeah. Of course I love Tim Curry. Like I love Rocky Horror, I love Clue, I love all of his oeuvre. But like I always avoided It like the plague growing up because I knew that Pennywise was like the scariest fucking clown in the fucking world. So I was like, well, I can't watch that shit, especially because like, you know, as we have substantiated through Tyler lore, like my family was very anti-horror growing up. They just did not want me to watch certain things unless it was stuff that my family had grown up watching. So It was like very much unwelcome. So I was just like, I will simply never watch this movie. I watched the 2017 It before I saw this It.
Ah, yes.
That's fair.
Now we all did end up dabbling our toes in the 2017 It, right?
Yeah,
at least the first one.
Yeah. I did watch both of them for this. I saw them both in theaters when they came out, and I have to say, rewatching the Muschietti movies, I'm a lot kinder to part 2 now than I was when I first watched it.
Okay.
Because the ending of that movie is so irredeemably stupid. I kind of like washed my hands of the whole thing. But no, actually, there are some really good parts. It's just, we're not going to talk about it too much, but yeah it's just a bummer.
Yeah.
I also do own the book for It. I bought it. No, I didn't even buy it. It was in one of those like free book bins. And I picked it up and I was like, oh, I should read this. And I never have.
It's a lot of book, Marilee. It's a lot of book.
A lot of book.
It's a lot. I actually borrowed it from the library many summers ago, trying to do something like David did, because I think It is like a classic like summer vacation read. You know, you got that long chain of summer, and it takes place in the summer too, so it all kind of fits. But I borrowed it from the library. I got through the very beginning of it, and then it was just too much book, so I ended up not reading it.
It's a lot of book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very King. I will also say, if you don't vibe on Stephen King, it's not going to work for you.
This is kind of like a good cross section of everything Stephen King, this novel and story.
Yeah, and I don't want to litigate the new films, but I do think, and I only saw the first one, I do think this kept its place in my heart as the better telling of this story, the 1990 miniseries.
I will say I watched it part 1 again, I don't know, like last weekend. And I just kept thinking, like, I kind of prefer the miniseries more. Like, even though, like, you could make the argument that the acting in the 2017 version is better.
Sure.
I don't know. I just like the story. But we're also not here to talk about the 2017 movie. We're here to talk about 1990s miniseries It.
Yeah.
So if we're ready, I'm going to jump into some themes.
Let's theme it up.
Okay.
Theme it up.
Theme time. All right. So our first theme to keep in mind is you must go home again. A common trope in literature is the notion that you can't go home again, meaning that you cannot return to the life you had before a significant event or adventure occurred. In It, our characters lived complicated, often dire childhoods, exacerbated by the toxic energy exuded by Pennywise that affects most residents of Derry. Pennywise's direct interference in the losers' lives forever changes the kids, but also allows them to come together as a group to fight off Pennywise. A bout of memory loss makes the adult members of the Losers Club forget much of their childhoods. Returning at the behest of one of their own makes them confront the alienness of a half-remembered town. Although some characters like Bill and Mike are able to maintain or reconnect with Derry using physical objects, the other members of the Losers Club can't. What happens when you're forced into a defamiliarized space and forced to engage with it? What happens when that space hates you?
What happens when that space hates you is one of those lines that Tyler writes sometimes that make me just like want to curl up in it, because Tyler's so smart and what a great writer. I am obsessed with that sentence. Thank you for saying it.
Well, thank you, Marilee. But tell me, like, what happened? Like, you and I have very similar, as we've established, like, upbringings because we lived so close to each other without knowing it. Mm-hmm. Like, as a queer person, whenever I return to my hometown, it feels like a very discomfort. Like, I'm not really welcome there because the politics have changed so dramatically. The space has changed so dramatically. The things that I remember from my childhood are not things that exist there anymore, especially after Hurricane Ian, like, wiped out most of what I grew up enjoying. Right. So, like, do you have, like a similar feeling whenever you think about your hometown?
I mean, yes and no. I think it's really important for you to remember that, like, the thing is, I moved out of Florida in, like, I'm going to say 2015, but maybe that's not right. But, like, I moved out of Florida and then I never came back. I only, like, I went to school. I moved back to Florida. I moved out and then I never came back. My dad moved out of Florida before I went back. So I never saw it again after it had been destroyed by a hurricane. Like, I saw the footage of the town that I grew up in just gone, and that was weird and different. But I have retained my life in a hostile state to myself, and I've never gone home, which is weird to think about.
Yeah, and I think that kind of weirdness is a little bit of what I'm getting at, and I think it's something similar to what the losers experience when they go back to Derry or when they think about Derry. Where it's just like, I remember some things, I don't remember some things. It's strange. The people here look at me weird. Or for you, just like seeing the town different than how you remember it. And you said that it feels weird. I think that's something that we sympathize with our losers characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like for these characters that the memory loss it's almost certainly driven supernaturally because we are like in the supernatural of it all. But it does mirror the way in which real live trauma does manifest to limit our exposure to memories which trigger that trauma. And so the adage that we're sort of playing with on this theme is that you can never go home again. And where that adage comes from is that if you went back to where you're from, it would never be where you're from because you are no longer who you used to be. That is the entire like purpose of thinking of that adage. And I love that gets turned on its head and then up to 11 with this story because they have to go back. Derry is actually the exact same that they remember it, and they become a little bit more childlike when they are back together. And it actually like really contributes to the idea of innocence that I think this whole story is based in. It's really, really yummy.
It's delicious. And also, what a beautiful point, David.
Oh, thank you.
Well, David, I'm really glad that you bring up the the loss of innocence, because that's what our next theme really focuses on, which is lost childhoods and found family. So the losers experience major trauma, and they're all marginalized or harmed by it in some way. Pennywise's hatred seeps into Derry residents who ignore or commit bullying, assault, and worse. Our losers are outcasts, but a frequent refrain among them, both as children and as adults, is the idea that Pennywise can't get them if they're together. The vow they take is nearly magical in nature, as it represents an incredibly powerful bond that they have with each other. When Mike calls each loser to tell them to return to Derry, they more or less all agree to go, even with great difficulty. Their bonds, which we see to great effect while they eat Chinese dinner together, provides a safe space against the hatred and violence outside.
Yeah, I think that the telling of this story gets the found family aspect so right. I think it works in part 1. I think it works in part 2. I think that marrying these concepts together is really, really brilliant. And I think queer audiences will get a lot out of the found family of it all.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. That's exactly right. And also, the way that Tyler described this, it caused a revelation for me, because it never occurred to me before. But given how, like, the belief in things really affects stuff in this, like, universe, their knowledge that they're safer together probably makes that true. And I'm obsessed with that as a concept. They firmly believe they're safer together, so they are. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think there's something really, like, interesting and kind of special about the way, I'm going to call it magic, works in this world of Derry, because like watching this, and I think especially this version of the miniseries because of Tim Curry, Pennywise and the horrors that he inflicts feel a lot more like fae or fairy-like in a way.
Agreed.
Because like in olden tales, like the fae were like mischievous, but they were like, they worked in a very alien fashion to how we think mentally. Like if we think about things as like an apple is red and so on, the fairy might think like, well, the apple is number 3. It's just, it doesn't really fit with the logic. And while that is different because the fae in that case are not always malicious, although frequently they are, Pennywise is just straight up evil. And so I think like the fantastical way that he operates in this almost like fae-like way, I think that's kind of what the losers take and build off of that, because I think there's also something very innocent about the idea that your imagination is powerful enough with your friends to stop the ultimate evil in the universe.
Yeah.
And I love that we have, I really do think innocence comes down to like the core of this story. So I'm really glad that David said that, because I think it's that belief in innocence and that like embracing of it, and then of course the losses that they experience and everything. I think all of those things come together and make it so that this found family can operate as a found family and fight back. And I really love that. And I think that like something about this story like really touches me in that way that makes me feel very nostalgic for my own childhood. And I think that's extremely intentional in the original story, in the miniseries, and then even in the 2017 movie, because we have lost that innocence as adults because we can't go back to our childhoods. And we kind of get the opportunity to do that in this story.
Absolutely. Real quick, while we're talking about families, I had the pleasure of talking with Alyssa, my friend, who you all know from the Exorcist episode. Alyssa loves it. Like, she has a really beautiful It tattoo even. And so I was talking to her about this because I was excited. I got to talk about it. And she shared with me her favorite quote from the book that I wanted to share with you guys all now.
Bring it on.
She said, Maybe there aren't any such thing as good friends or bad friends. Maybe there are just friends, people who stand by you when you're hurt and who help you feel not so lonely. Maybe they're always worth being scared for and hoping for and living for. Maybe worth dying for too, if that's what it has to be. No good friends, no bad friends. Only people you want, need to be with. People who build their houses in your heart.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks, Alyssa, for bringing that to us. I did not remember that line, but then again, there are so many lines in the novel.
As we established, it could be used as a weapon.
Yes, it is. It is. I know that we all like to call Les Mis the book the brick, but it is also a brick for sure.
This is brick unto brick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So our final theme of the day is Fear Thy Name is Pennywise. As we've stated, Tim Curry's take on Pennywise is often lauded as the scariest clown character in film or TV. What is it about it that makes it so scary? Sure, Pennywise is a representation of fear. He changes into scary shit. But what is it about Pennywise and clowns in general that are so scary that we need to assign a whole month to them? Why does the scary clown well never seem to have an end? I was going to say, I think part of what makes it in particular so scary is Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Casting Tim Curry, there really truly was at this time and in this place no one else who could play Pennywise in the way that makes it so legendary.
Right.
He could something about Tim Curry. I'm going to try and describe Tim Curry, which is an impossible task, but he could just so expertly perform as someone that is extremely charismatic, and you want to listen to everything he says, you want to follow his directions, and you just want to he's just he's just got you in his performance. But he's also kind of scary as shit, and he can turn that on so easily, and he can be both. I think in Rocky Horror we see him be both. Like, he's scary and he's kind of horny at the same time. And we kind of see that here, where it's like Pennywise is like kind of alluring in that he's a funny clown, and it's Tim Curry. So when he speaks, you listen to what he's saying. You're entranced by his performance, but he's scary as shit. And it's that combination that I think makes it so intriguing.
Hey, I buy that hook, line, sinker. There is nothing I have seen or heard Curry in that I did not resonate with. There are a couple performances that I have, because this was so grounded for me, that I will actually get like remembrances of him as Pennywise. In particularly his performance as King Arthur in the musical version of Monty Python's The Holy Grail. When he laughs as King Arthur, it sounds like Pennywise laughing, and I can't unhear it. It's a little frightening.
Incredible. I love that. Yeah, Tim Curry is incredible, and he's so good here. But again, like, for the record, I have not and never been afraid of clowns in the abstract. Like, Tim Curry's clown, Get Behind, is like deeply scary. But clowns as a concept, never been a thing for me. So I'm really excited to see if we can like hunt down an answer as we go through this month. Because I don't think clowns are particularly scary. And this is going to be really fun for me.
Yeah, I think that we kind of know Tyler, and I think we even talked about this on the Until Dawn episode. Like, Tyler and clowns, it's a no. It's oil and water, right? Mm-hmm. And I think Marilee and I, and even our guest, Matt, we're all sort of on the fence about it, or possibly leaning like not scary at all. So I am excited about the month. And I will say that I find this performance of a clown in horror really, really powerful, because it is taking the very playful Faye. I can't get away from that descriptor, Tyler.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And the menacing horror aspects of it all that work so powerfully and so well. Like the visual image of Pennywise the clown all done up, standing in a grave that he has just dug menacingly, looking at this now grown child into a man and being like, I'm gonna fucking bury your ass, but not having to say those words, is so very good. And I think we get so many visual moments in this, and I won't belabor the 2017 film, but that's what was missing from that version of Pennywise. That was just sort of scary because, like, it's scary when things pop out of you. I don't need that. I got the Babadook. I don't need any more of that. I need a clown that is playful, and that playfulness lowers my guard so that when the scare comes, the scare is elevated.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Like, I think that Bill Skarsgård, who did play it in the newer movies, he did a fine job. I think that there's stuff that he did that was, like, actually really good, but you never hit the charismatic highs that you do with Tim Curry, because he's all scary all the time, and that's what they were going for there, but there's just something about the mix of the playful with the scary that really hits home in this version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like both of you, I'm excited to track it all month long. And I think what we're going to find is there are going to be some real spotlight moments like this one. And then there are going to be some that fall short because they don't take advantage of what it means to be a clown in horror. And that there really is a way to do it and a way to not do it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, speaking of horror,
we must evaluate every media that we talk about on this podcast using two main criteria. And the first of those two criteria is to evaluate if the media that we are talking about belongs in the horror genre. So I ask both of you, is this horror, and were you scared while watching this 3.5 hour film? Miniseries.
No, I think that's the honestly, to me, the horror, like, yes, it's very scary, but the horror of it is kind of, they have it on HBO, like, not in 2 parts. You could just watch the whole thing as a movie. And honestly, it didn't seem that long, and I can't believe movies are so long now. This mini-series seems reasonably length.
That's funny.
Yeah.
The runtime was my biggest scare. No, just kidding. I mean, that was a joke. But the runtime was, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
David, I was actually going to make that joke that the runtime was the scariest thing to me. So, but yeah, no, it's like, yeah, it scared me. It's a scary movie, for sure.
Yeah. I remember being scared as a child, of course, but I got really good scares this time as well. I don't think that the film or the miniseries relies on jump scares tremendously much, and I don't think that it relies on body horror gore, except there is a lot of blood. And there is some fascinating behind the scenes. We touched on it when we did the introduction, but that this got shown on network television remains kind of a mystery to me, which sort of was a stamp of approval for children like me to watch it. Whereas we weren't, my aunt didn't say to my cousins and I, oh, you liked the Langoliers, let's watch Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
She said, oh, you like the Langoliers, let's see what else is available on Blockbuster that aired on television. And it met that criteria. Carrie did not.
That's really interesting. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that, again, I don't remember watching it as a kid. I can't say I was particularly scared watching this version of it now as an adult human, but I do think that, like, the body horror isn't too much. Lots of blood, but, like, in a fun way, not like in a way that bothered me.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny to me, like, how much blood there is considering when it came out.
Yeah.
Blood, gallons of
and,
the
like,
stuff.
Like, we'll talk about this some more as we get into it, but, like, ABC was, like, and very afraid of the censors and had a lot of very specific requests about what they were okay with and what was not okay. So I'm honestly, like, a little surprised how much blood is in this, considering, like, ABC was looking over it with a fine-tooth comb.
Mm-hmm. I think it's probably, if I had to guess, most of the most bloody moments, the blood is existing in abstract of a person. It just is blood that appears without an injured person, and the times that we do see Pennywise hurt someone, we don't really see anything. It's just all, except for one pretty notable exception, that it's insane that aired on television. Anyway,
Yeah.
To be scary, simply not enough. To be on Fear Coded podcast, you also have to be queer. So what did we think about it, the miniseries, in terms of queerness?
I mean, like, I think Eddie is our queer representative in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without actually saying that he's gay.
Yeah, which he almost comes out as, like, Arrow Ace at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
Which is
honestly,
like, wow, how forward thinking of them.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, hello.
No, I kind of was like, as I was reading, like, obviously Eddie is a pretty effeminate little guy whom I love and treasure very much. But honestly, I could even see him, like, he explicitly confessing that he's, like, demisexual in that, like, demi-romantic.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he has to be in love, and he never loved anybody besides the losers, so... and I think all of that is very interesting. I do also think, we've talked about it before, we'll talk about it again, to be in a found family is a pretty queer thing for you to be doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the Losers Club where I think the queerness really sings. And I think, I even think there are parts of Bill that are pretty queer coded but in a today viewing, not a 1990 viewing. Like, in 1990, you could have a ponytail and be like the biggest man who ever manned in all mankind, that you would, like, not only be a man, but score Olivia Hussey. Like, just absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like, make better choices, my girl.
Mhm.
But, like, I think for our conversation, for the queer of all of this, the queer theory of all of this, it is the Losers Club, and it is them as a found family. They find each other through trauma. They have to sort of come out to each other about a second type of trauma that they're all collectively experiencing. So they find themselves because they're losers, but then they become a family because they're all queer. And by that, I mean they're being haunted by a clown, which we all are.
The clown being...
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that too.
Could you imagine a remake of this film, except that instead of Pennywise the Clown, it's just a person doing a Ronald Reagan? Like, hello, mommy. I don't like it.
Someone
Yeah.
impressed Jodie Foster really fast.
Please, listen, I think that we as a society have moved on too fast from impressing Jodie Foster, and we should all give it another shot.
I would love to impress Jodie Foster
Please, Jodie Foster, come on the podcast. We'll all try to impress you.
in our own special
God.
ways.
Oh my God, what if none of us succeeded, though? That would be devastating.
Oh my
Jodie
God.
Foster, do not come on the podcast.
I don't think I would recover.
Yeah.
It'd be over.
Oh.
End of podcast.
Yeah. Oh, I love Jodie Foster. We should really have like a whole episode dedicated to her.
Please, I
Okay.
love her.
Feels like mixed reviews beat us to it, but fine.
I mean, that's a fair point.
Listen, the mixed reviews
Gavin
just
and
beat
Louie, come on the
everyone to
pod.
everything. Gavin and Louie, come on the pod.
We'll just do your Jodie Foster episode again.
Yeah, we'll just re-air it with like a 5-minute intro. Any other parts of queerness that we need to talk through for the miniseries?
Not for the miniseries, but like I do just want to like throw it out there that if you hadn't seen the miniseries and have seen the newer It movies, I think that you will be in for a bit of a surprise queerness and everything, because in spoilers for It Part 2, but in the movie they do make Richie canonically gay, and he was in love with Eddie the whole time, and Eddie is a completely different person who appears in name only. And like I like that Eddie fine, but this is again he's a completely different other person. And if you're looking at the Richie-Eddie relationship, which is one of the most common ships for both pieces of media, you'll have a very different understanding of what their relationship is like depending on what piece of media you're looking at.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, Marilee brought us forward from the miniseries, but I'm actually going to take us back to the novel. And the reason why is that the inspiration for writing the novel It actually was related to an act of gay bashing that happened in Bangor, Maine, where Stephen King grew up, and he wanted to write about it. And it was a central thesis, and it is sort of the beginning of the adult section of the novel.
Yes.
Which is that a gay man is thrown off a bridge. I can't remember to his death or to his serious injury. I
think
remember
he
which
died.
of the
He
if
does
memory
die,
serves,
but I
he
think
dies.
that Pennywise kills him. He
Yeah.
survives the
fall, and then Pennywise gets him. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if you see the movie, is in there, and it's brutally depicted. Like, honestly, like pretty hurtful gay bashing for sure.
Ugh.
So it's in the novel, and I Marilee says it's in part 2, which Tyler and I haven't seen. But it is in the novel, and it feels out of place in the novel. But it was like this idea that King wanted, and he wanted it to be responsible for like all the harms of society. So like it was responsible for like racism and homophobia, but then the compelling through line of like children are more tasty ended up like winning the day. And so you have this like murder of a gay person that is in the novel, and yet really the monster just wants to eat children. So it is one of those funny things that it's like really interesting and part of our queer history that is like one of the origins of the book, but also is evidence that in a 1,000 page novel, yes, maybe an editor should have flagged some things and been like, you moved on from this idea. It's no longer central to the thesis. You probably should take it out.
Yeah, either that or rework it in by perhaps making at least one of your main characters queer and like having that really be a part of the movie novel narrative.
No, Marilee, it's a Stephen King novel, so one of them's got to be a writer of horror movies, or a writer of horror, and one of them has to be a fat kid, so that Stephen King can get all his fat phobia out from his former life as a fat child. Okay, well, whatever. We're gonna get into all of it. If you haven't read Stand By Me, it's just it without the clown.
It's the more I think about it, the more it's giving me a headache because of how true that is.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry about it. Jerry O'Connell, come on the podcast.
Jerry O'Connell, genuinely come on the pod. Love your work.
All right. Well, then let's jump into the 1990 miniseries It. The film begins with a series of photographs under the opening credits and a young girl, Lori Ann, returning home with her tricycle when the laughter of a clown coming from behind laundry distracts her. The scene turns to horror when her mother comes to investigate. Finding the turned over tricycle, she screams, and we were meant to interpret that she sees the body of her child.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Hanlon is there investigating, but the police remind him that he's just the librarian. And as Mike leaves, he sees an old photograph of a boy named Georgie, and he decides to take action. It's time to tell the others what is happening.
So it's no Jaws, but I think that this is kind of like a good, like workmanlike and effective opening to the story.
Agreed.
It's also obviously not the gay bashing scene that the novel starts with. But I think it's like a good parallel to Georgie's death without being like an exact replica. And I think because, however, that it was like on not public television, but like cable TV, ABC in 1990, some of it feels like a little dated and silly. Like it's trying to do it's worse up to your imagination, but I think we move on from it too fast to make it stick like that.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I will say Stephen Curry in the laundry is really instantly iconic. David's making a face, but when I was told my brother that I was doing this, he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this one scene," and he described that scene. And when I talked to him about it later, I was like, "Yeah, it was the opening." It was like, "Oh, it was the only thing I remembered."
No, I totally agree with your take on it. You just said Stephen Curry.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I was like the basketball player.
Yeah, Stephen King and Tim Curry kind of fuse into a basketball player, and they Voltron around and do that.
Mm-hmm. Steph Curry, come on the podcast.
Steph Curry, do not come on the podcast. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I liked the stuff through the laundry. Truly and honestly, I thought it was the right amount of seeing Pennywise to elicit fear, and then I thought using the camera POV at this child, who was not a good actor, was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna try not to bring it up too much, but most of the characters who are not the main characters aren't particularly good actors in this film, and that's just across the board.
That's fine. I mean, yeah, it's Vancouver, so you got who was around.
Yeah, they found some local actors, and they were like, "Hey, you want to be in a miniseries?"
I said Vancouver, but was this in Vancouver?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And they got the day players who hadn't been on cable before, it seems like.
Yeah.
And you know what? Get your paper, babes. They saved their money for places like where they could hire people like Tim Curry or the effects or something.
And some pretty high quality effects for a miniseries on network television. Yeah, this was solid. Yeah. This was solid. Money well spent, and the little girl eats it, so like who cares? But yeah, we watched this a second time. And when I put it on and the girl was singing Itsy Bitsy Spider, Mike was like, "I fucking hate this." And I was like, "Don't worry, she gets it." And he applauded when she died. So
you guys are perfect for each other.
Truly.
That's the truth.
But then, of course, we have not your Mike, but Mike Hanlon showing up in this scene.
That's right. Well. That's right. He's just the librarian.
Yeah, he's just the librarian. But yeah, it's kind of like, okay, he's here. I don't know what else to say about that. He has now been introduced, and he picks up the photograph of Georgie that just happened to be there.
Yeah, I do think that it is a way to put a hook in and get us going, because what the photo does is it takes us to Mike Hanlon's monologue, which is "I have to call the others," and it's all grave sounding, and it does introduce the concept of the sort of like shtick of the miniseries, which is we're going to show you the call coming into the adult, and then their memory flooding back to them of childhood. And that's how the novel went. And I will say that, like, Stephen King has some problems as a writer, but I found the back and forth of child-adult to be such a compelling read.
Yeah.
And I loved.
Genuinely think that it is, like, the mystery of, like, trying to figure out what happened as the characters are trying to remember what happened is excellent. It's very well done. And I think that it is part of the reason why chapter 2, again, I know that we said that we weren't going to focus on it, and I keep bringing it up because this is just who I am as a person, but I think that it really suffers because it doesn't have that, because most of the plot of the book is them trying to remember, and because there was a whole separate movie of all of these flashback clips, there's nothing for them to do, and it sucks.
Right. Right.
In Hampstead Heath, England, Bill is working on script rewrites for a film adapting one of his novels that his wife Audra is starring in. The phone rings, Bill answers, and on the other line is Mike Hanlon. It takes a minute, but Bill remembers who Mike is. Bill remembers his childhood where, while ill in bed, he helped his brother Georgie make a paper boat. Georgie takes the boat outside to play, placing it in the street runoff, and chasing it. But the boat falls into a sewer grate. While bending down to try and get his boat, Georgie is greeted by the clown we saw earlier, who introduces himself as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Pennywise tempts Georgie with his boat, but when Georgie reaches in, Pennywise's face contorts monstrously. Georgie is killed.
This is great. And I think that this is sewer great. This is probably one of the like most iconic things. I know that a lot of the cover for it would feature the grate. Would feature a picture of the boat, or sorry, a drawing like of the little paper boat, because Georgie's death motivates so much of Bill that this becomes such a central key point of the story from here. And I think a lot of people will remember a clown in the sewers by itself is kind of a scary concept, and that it's putting those two ideas, one that's very playful, one that is very dark, next to each other, that I think amplifies the horror a lot.
Absolutely. You're 100% right, and the Georgie scene here is the number one thing that people remember about it as a concept. And like for a while after the first new It movie came out, people would, like, as a prank, just put like red balloons in sewers and like sewer grates and like tape them there, and people got very scared about it, and that's just a thing people love. That imagery is incredible. You know who else is incredible? Olivia Hussey. We love you, girl.
Oh, she's back. She's back from Black Christmas, here now on It.
She hasn't aged either. She looks
not
beautiful.
Aged.
Yeah.
Many years have gone by, and she only looks better, truly and honestly.
Incredible work. Olivia Hussey, we love you so much.
If she wasn't married to Bill, she'd be perfect. Like, this movie should just be about her being an actor, truly.
Yeah.
And I would have been like, A++, 5-star review.
Agreed.
Give her more screen time, you cowards.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to our next section, I do want to talk a little bit about Tim Curry's performance as Pennywise. So while we're meeting Pennywise and Georgie and he are having that conversation, Pennywise's accent kind of shifts between like different voices and different, like, it just in general, it just moves around a lot. Tim Curry reportedly based this behavior off of Robin Williams's like fast-paced improv comedy. So like that's why like the different accents are going all at the same or going in different directions. And it works because, again, it's like really disarming and like charming and pleasant, but then that shift happens and it's just pure terror.
Oh my god, I noticed the accent shift, because like sometimes he has like a very Brooklyn-y kind of like New York-y voice, and I remember thinking, what are we doing here? Like, it works, but why? Thinking about it in the terms of Robin Williams' stand-up is so smart and really explains everything.
Yeah.
A lot of folks were considered for Pennywise. My favorite of the Almost or Sliding Doors worlds where we got a different Pennywise was Alice Cooper was apparently being considered for Pennywise, more as a shock casting than I think as a acting bona fides.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, listen, I can't say that we got the best of whatever situation in this world pretty often. I think that we could all agree that the horrors are so horrifying, but we did win with the Tim Curry version of it instead of Alice Cooper.
Truly.
Yep, agreed.
So after his brother's funeral, young Bill looks at a photo album in Georgie's room. The photo of Georgie winks at him, and then the album begins bleeding before slamming itself shut. Young Bill's parents come in and put the album back, but they don't seem to see the blood. The scene reverts to adult Bill, where he tells Audra that he has to return to Derry. He makes her promise to stay in England, and Bill leaves that night.
Yeah, I liked this thing in George's room. I think that we're going to come back to this idea of there are horrible things that the losers can see that nobody else can see.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first instance of it, and it's kind of scary just by itself. Not even the eruption of blood, which, again, I think we've talked enough on this podcast that the eruption of blood doesn't roll up my socks. But the sort of macabre, no one interacting with it, did hit me a little bit different.
Yeah, I think they go to this well a few times, and I think it hits every time. Like the adults like touching blood and leaving their bloody fingerprints on stuff and never noticing it. That
on the
kills.
Kids too.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah, I think it also works too because one of the strengths of the story when we're focusing on the kids is this feeling of helplessness. Because as a child, like, think about it, you are pretty helpless. Like, there's like no one is more like at risk than children. And so I think like because we follow so closely with the losers' perspectives, it makes us feel helpless too, which makes the stakes with Pennywise feel all the more raised because it's like, my God, there is no one that can help us. It really is just up to us. And when you're a kid, that sounds terrifying because yeah, when you like remember when you were a kid, you couldn't do this kind of shit that you can do now as an adult. And like, sure, we didn't have to worry about what we make for dinner or paying taxes or anything, but like, we have so much more freedom as an adult than children can ever have. And I think that like difficulty that the kids have is presented very well here.
Love that.
Yeah, really well put.
Well, the scene shifts to New York City, where adult Ben is the next to receive a phone call from Mike, and just like Bill, the call triggers Ben to remember his childhood. It's young Ben's first day in Derry, having moved there from Houston with his mother. And while walking home, the bullies confront Ben, which includes Bully Henry pulling a switchblade on him. Ben escapes and hides in a drain, leading the bullies to find new targets in Bill and Eddie. After the bullies leave, Ben joins Bill and Eddie, and they become fast friends. After some trouble at his aunt's house where he and his mother are staying, Ben returns to the Barrens where he met his new friends. Ben sees a vision of his father, which becomes Pennywise, and then a waterlogged skeleton.
The claymation on the skeleton was excellent, by the way.
Yeah. A lot of the effects are actually really good. I think the last sequence with it has aged the worst, but the skeleton is fantastic. And even Pennywise, like in the water, is kind of frightening. It's really, really nicely done for Ben's scare here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the surreality of a lot of the images that we see works here really well. So when they were making the miniseries, Twin Peaks, the first season was out, and it was a huge hit with the crew and the production team, and they were saying, we want this to be like Twin Peaks. And I think like they don't totally capture that energy, but I think when it works well, it really does work. So like seeing Pennywise just out on the water, it's surreal and unnerving because what the fuck is a clown doing there?
Right.
So it's scary as shit. So I think that works really, really well. Same thing with the skeleton too, which also was like another weird thing that ABC was like super specific on. They were like, you could show a skeleton and you could show like plant rot around it, but don't show any meat whatsoever. There can be no rotting meat on this thing.
No meat. A vegetarian skeleton.
Do you like your bones vegetarian or vegan?
I like them vegan, thank you.
Well, I think we should talk about the elephant in the room that is the fatphobia.
Yeah. I did reference it earlier. Stephen King did, of course, grow up bullied for his weight. And so a lot, you write what you know, and a lot of characters in Stephen King novels do end up struggling with bullying for their weight, and the sort of ideal status of losing that weight being a big part of transformation of a lot of King characters across his writing.
Oh my god, I didn't know that Stephen King and RuPaul were the same person.
Oh my god. Topical, Marilee. Topical. So I just, I don't know. I mean, King did take extreme measures to lose weight after his bullying, and I do want to recognize that that is part of his journey, and writing about your trauma is a way to sort of reconcile with it. I think it gets hard in cases like this because then you've got characters who are attacking someone because of their weight relentlessly to like an 11, and it sucks to watch. It truly and honestly sucks to watch.
Yeah, and even the the actor playing young Ben, his name was Brandon Crane, based his performance on the bullying he received in real life for his weight.
Yeah.
My God.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And I want to remind everyone that I was 13 when I first saw this film, but Brandon Crane was definitely an early crush of mine, like without question.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think the story that Ben goes through, and John Ritter as well, like the whole Ben character, was doing it for me on levels that I don't think I'd fully get for like a couple more years. But this was an early informative crush. And not just the way that the actors looked, but also the story of somebody who's going through this, but still choosing to be a hero, I think was really, really important in what I looked for in someone that I would eventually then become attracted to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we talk about the bullies for a second? Because I know that this is set in the 50s, and that's why, like, Henry's hair is, like, full flock of seagulls. But it's just insane that these actual literal attempted murderers are just walking around like 18 years old in a class full of 12-year-olds. Like, what are we doing, Maine?
I mean, that is part of the Pennywise curse over Derry, is like everyone is kind of their worst selves. So like that's why the teacher doesn't actually do anything. She's just like, oh, you like to the bully, like, you're going to drive me crazy, you know, stuff like that. Meanwhile, these kids are threatening like the lives of other children or like assaulting kids, and no one does anything.
The supernatural does actually help the medicine go down, which I appreciate, because otherwise it is almost like, how do I make a bully evil to the audience? And like just a little bit too far down that road of being like, I'm going to pull out a switchblade and carve into your flesh, which of course, you know, we will actually do in the remake or the 2017 version and is in the novel, but was cut for censors. And I like, thank fucking God, because you don't need that.
Yeah.
Them just being bullies is enough. But Tyler's right. The sort of mysticism of Derry and the conflicts going on is why there's such elevated levels with these bullies.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I am a proud hater, and I will prove my hater accolades in just a second. But first, I just want to say I have never hated anything enough to want to get my socks wet. And so the fact that these bullies are so filled with evil that they go into a river to kick down the starter dam that these kids make, like, they're on another level. Like,
oh yeah, I thought that shit was insane for the exact same reason. I'm just like, you're getting your shoes and socks soaked, and your shoes, you're looking like a fucking greaser boy right now. They're probably like fake ass leather. Those things are going to take forever and probably ruin, you idiots.
Yeah, and you're just going to be walking around with wet shoes.
Idiots.
Like,
yeah. Who's the real loser?
Yeah, for
Who's
real.
the real loser? God.
But yeah, just to prove that, like, I am filled with hate and I love being a hater, either you change the poem, you put a wig on that child, or you cast a redhead. That poem simply does not work if Bev does not have red hair. And I bring this up because this is the sequence where Ben writes his very famous January Embers poem, which of course is talking about her hair. You can't, like, the actress who does the young kid is fine. Put a wig on her. You don't even have to put a wig on the adult Bev, because her hair, like, people's hair naturally darken as they age. It's not a big deal. But, like, she's got to have red hair as a kid. She's got to have red hair as a kid. That really irritates me every time they bring up the poem, because what is the point of January Embers if her hair isn't red?
The poem comes up a lot in the miniseries, too.
I genuinely assumed that she had red hair, and I just couldn't see it. So
Brown,
I just
baby.
accepted it. I just accepted it merrily. Live in my world. Being colorblind, way easier. They just tell you what the color is. You don't have to worry about it.
Or you could just guess.
And I did. I guessed because of the poem. I was like, oh, she must be a redhead. Next.
It's supposed to be a redhead. Simply isn't. And it literally bothers me. And I don't think that it would have been a good wig, but they should have just try a wig on her. Let's see how it looks.
Listeners, Marilee is literally pulling shake and go red wigs out of bags right now.
Why do you have so many wigs,
frenzy.
Marilee? It's just wow. It seems unending. It's like a bag of holding for wigs.
Oh my God,
Listen,
talk about clowns.
I'm serious about if you red hair in this movie. I went to the 1990s and I got all of these out of a store just for this bit.
See, they had them.
The technology was available.
Tyler, tell me more about Beverly.
Yeah, so, all right. Beverly is now a fashion designer in Chicago with her naturally dark hair. She's also told that she has a phone call from Maine. She's very excited about it, but her controlling partner, Tom, says that Beverly will not take the call. At home, Beverly finally gets the call from Mike and instantly begins packing excitedly. Tom slaps her and threatens her with a belt. She fights back, leaves, and heads for the airport. You go, Bev. Young Bev answers a ring at the door of her home to find a poem left by Ben, the January Embers poem. Her father confiscates this note and he slaps her. She runs off. Ben finds her and comforts her, inviting her to join them in the Barrens to work on the dam. Richie and Stan join them and they all work together. Bev, however, only has eyes for Bill, and Ben looks on sadly.
All right, let's take this part by part. Because first of all, I've got to say, Annette O'Toole being a fashion designer in Chicago is everything. This is
so great.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
I want this. I mean, this is essentially Murphy Brown. Like I just want the Murphy Brown of her life. And I know Tom is meant to be menacing, but if a man did that with a belt, I'd be like, let's go.
Well,
unfortunately, because I was like, do they have like a kinky relationship? Like, or is that, do spouses abuse each other with belts? I've only known a belt to be used in consensual roleplay.
Oh, no.
Never as an actual weapon.
Yeah, no. That could very much be used as like an abusive tool by parents towards their children. And
That's
I guess
insane.
also your spouse.
Don't abuse anyone in your family, but
Please.
especially not with a belt. Especially not. No, cut that out, Tim. No abuse whatsoever. But I love how fast it's like, as soon as the phone call comes from Mike, Bev seems to sort of get what she needs to leave Tom. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a part of the innocence of all of this that I think is hard to tell a story around visually in a miniseries. And this is really the only beat we really get of it. And then like Tom's gone. Goodbye, Tom. Tom, big appearance in the novel later in the story. But I think we are good to be rid of him here.
Yeah, the less Tom, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, his again, I know that we said we wouldn't harp on it, but his actor is not great. Man, it's been a while since I read the Wikipedia page for it, the novel. And I forgot that Tom made a later appearance in the story. I can't believe they cut that in the 27, like the It Part 2, because if you needed a plot, it was right there. Could have done something with that. Simply didn't.
But
then let's talk about young Bev. Listen, if you were excited when Olivia Bousy showed up, you've got to be excited for Emily Perkins here. It's Bridget from Ginger Snaps as a child.
Yeah,
and she's great.
She's
Put
so
a wig
good
on her.
She'll get a wig in Ginger Snaps. What's your problem, Marilee?
Listen, the wig or not for that actor, like, it's a very complicated thing, but it's a bummer. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
And speaking of redheads, Seth Green is here. He's got red hair here. He does it as an adult. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Seth Green been in everything, by the way. Love his memoir when he comes out, because he probably has lots of stories to tell.
Wild, right? I love them all getting together. I think that it's a little, it happens fast because, the miniseries runtime might be long, but again, the source novel was huge. So it does feel a little fast that we're here to the Barrens making the dam as a group, but we're there. I'm happy about it. I love them all together. I love Ben and Bev together. Mm-hmm. I think it is the OTP for me. Of course, it does work out for them in the end, but I think that it's beautiful the way that he cares for her, and you can see her care for him, but the bill of it all gets sort of wrapped up in it.
So like speaking of like Bill and Ben and everything, this is the dam building scene that you're describing in the aftermath. Yeah. So like I really love the dam building. I think this is such a wonderful montage. It's so much fun, and it's like that pure childhood innocence, and I love that it actually feels really earned as a result, because otherwise, like, if we hadn't just seen the characters going through so much as children, like this would come off feeling like really schmaltzy and corny. But because we've seen them go through so much, this has just the right level of like they can finally be happy with one another because they're building the Losers Club.
Yeah. It almost feels weird when Stan and Richie show up, because you're like, who are you? You haven't gone through trauma. You're not allowed to be here. And we just haven't seen the trauma.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's there.
It's there. It is there. In fact, I think that it was at this point in time that I was like, thinking back to when I read this book, and it was a very memorable book, but Pennywise wasn't really the scariest thing. The scariest thing was the trauma of these children's lives. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone had family issues. Either it was demanding perfection or a father that abused them or whatever. Like, there was so much trauma there that Pennywise almost needed the visualization to scare me as much. Mm-hmm. There was plenty of trauma that these were all, that really is what brought these folks together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Agreed.
Well, that night, in the bathroom, young Bev hears voices from the drain in her sink. Then a balloon comes out of the faucet and pops, exploding blood everywhere. Bev calls her father to the bathroom, but he doesn't see the blood at all. The voice of Pennywise warns her not to fight it. You'll die if you try. Back in Chicago, Bev shudders as the memories all come back to her at once.
I think it's wild because I think Bev's sequence is the most haunting version of the blood I see that no one else does. Mm-hmm. And we get one in part 2. We get one with the adults, but I think this is the scariest one by far.
Yeah. It's because her dad holds her face, and then you when he takes his hand away, you can see the blood on her face, but he doesn't notice it. And that is like, also the blood has a weird viscosity. It seems a little thick and gross.
Yeah, it is gross.
Mm-hmm. I think it honestly works better than in the 2017 film.
Yeah. I think the 2017 film had more money, so it's more affected, but I don't think it's as effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very
so
nice.
The 2017 film also like incorporates Bev's hair, and again, we're not really talking about it, so I won't. I have other thoughts, but they're for a secret other time, later days.
Yeah, whenever we get to the 2017 film, we can talk about those.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that the Bev sequence here fucking rules.
Yeah. I think it really nails the terror. I think our actress playing young Bev does such a wonderful job. And I mean, like, she did good in Ginger Snaps too. Like,
yeah. No, she was good, and she's a good actor. I like her a lot. Her state on wigs needs to be investigated.
We must get down to the bottom of this.
The investigation continues.
But first we must get through the plot summary.
Well, and the horrors persist because we are now going to focus on Eddie. We start with an adult Eddie packing various medications and telling his mother, who he lives with, that he is leaving to return to Derry. As he gets a ride to Penn Station, Eddie remembers his childhood. It all starts at the movie theater, where young Eddie and his friends are watching I Was a Teenage Werewolf, when Eddie accidentally spills his popcorn off the mezzanine and on to the bullies. The group all runs off and takes Eddie home, where his overprotective mother ushers him inside and tells him he doesn't need any friends. At school, Eddie is taking a shower after physical education, and a mysterious force turns on all the shower heads, then turns the water to be scorching hot. Eddie retreats, but the shower heads move and trap him in the giant group shower. From the drain, Pennywise says hello and pries the drain open to erupt and scare him. Terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Iconic. Like, this is one of the things that, like,
looks
the claymation floor as he moves it out of the way. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So good. So
really
good.
good. I think we should bring back claymation in more things, just because it's so, like,
it's otherworldly.
It's otherworldly.
It is so good.
It's Uncanny Valley in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of CGI effects, they don't age well. The claymation, you see the edges, but in a way that it still makes you uncomfortable, and I love it.
It's a very different feeling seeing, like, claymation that has aged versus CGI that has aged.
Mm-hmm.
But the shower heads even, like, snaking, they don't snake, they just extend and retract and, like, shift.
But they're so much longer than they should be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a pretty easy to see how they did that effect practically, but it doesn't make it any less scary. It just rules.
Well, and Kid Eddie is doing a great job as an actor to pretend that this water is, like, boiling hot, scorching. Like, it is effectively delivered. And again, I've just got to say, anytime Tim Curry is partially in a hole, is the best Pennywise. Like, he's so scary with this whole little thing. I love that he calls Eddie Wheezy. I love that he's sort of taking advantage of this whole thing that Eddie's got going on that we'll explore in the second part of the miniseries. This is it's truly terrifying and has remained with me for many, many years. I didn't shower after PE like most children I knew, so I just was sweaty.
Did your gyms have showers? Because I did have showers in my high school gym, but I genuinely cannot remember anyone using them ever, even once.
No one ever used them in ours.
They used them in high school. Middle school, I don't know if we had showers in our gym, but it also wasn't the expectation that you had to shower after PE in elementary or middle school. I think it was mostly like a high school thing that you had the option to, but even then I don't think it was like a requirement.
There was no time. We had no time.
Yeah, there's no time.
Gym ended, there were 3 minutes to change. Nobody could shower.
And you had like a textbook for PE, and like you were forced to do
textbook for PE.
Some of my classes I had it like a textbook. Yeah, it was
it was like a kinesiology book.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so in our school system we had like the PE, but then we also had a health class, which was where we would do like it was a whole other different credit.
Yeah. Health was for inside stuff. PE was for muscles and understanding how muscles were connected.
Yeah. Oh no, they didn't care about that.
Tyler, I played ping pong and archery in my PE because I was in losers PE / winners PE based on my analysis.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was the best one.
I had to do summer PE, which means that I did like 3 weeks of 8-hour days of like having to just be at my high school and do PE for 5 days a week. It sucked. It was awful. I did that the summer before my senior year. It's a horrible decision. Don't ever do that again. Never do that.
Although, that's where you watch Jaws. So...
That is where I watched Jaws, and I got to see the whole classroom move backward in one fluid motion in terror when Ben what's his name's head popped out.
Ben what's his name's
head? Ben Gardner. Ben Gardner's boat.
God, I a lot of the time have been jealous of like Tyler's schooling because you had like a fucking planetarium in your gym. I think I got the better end of the deal. Not as good as David, because we didn't have losers gym or whatever the hell you called that, where you got to do archery. You just had like the awful regular gym that everybody had to take.
I was very good at archery. I even then competed in county archery.
That's
it was
so
very
fucking
good.
cool.
It was very good. Me and Kenneth were on it. Let's
Wow.
go.
Well, before we move on from our Eddie discussion, I also want to talk about this scene where we get to meet adult Eddie for the first time. This is all
let's do
one
it.
shot. This is all one continuous shot as we move from Eddie's room to different rooms in Eddie's mother's house. Like, we're moving to different sides of the floor, and then, like, we go outside, and then we're in the car.
I am so glad you noticed that because I did as well. And I wrote in my notes, why the fuck?
Yeah.
Because
why is it like this? It's cool.
Wonders
but why?
wonders are incredible, and they're meant to like build and keep tension. But like the scene with his mom isn't tense.
No.
it doesn't need this. This almost felt like an artist like rubbing it in that they could.
Mhm.
It just simply does not belong in a miniseries. But it was fucking shot gorgeously.
Yeah, it's crazy how well it was shot, considering it's just... It reminds me of, like you save wonders for that episode of True Detective where Russ Cole is, like, running through, like, the drug deal gone wrong. That shit's fucking cool as shit. That was like a war zone. This is just, like, we're moving from one room to another. And, yeah, I don't think we need it, but I'm glad it's there just because it's cool.
Yeah, I think that the scene that we're talking about, we wouldn't be discussing at all were it not for the oneer, because it was just kind of stage setting.
It's nothing.
Yada,
Yeah.
yada,
Well, I
yada.
think
We've done this several times, but then...
We do. I think it's important, though, because we get that clue in as to how Eddie is behaving now versus when he was a child, where young Eddie is, like, he's submissive to his mother, and his mother says crazy things like, you don't need friends, you have your mother. Insane behavior. But just, like, it's cool then that we get to see grown-up Eddie, and we get to see him being kind of, like, fey and effeminate, but he's, like, grabbing all his clothes, and he's grabbing his stuff, and then he goes down, and I think he's talking to, like, his agent or something, but there's, like, a weird tension that he and his agent have, and I think that was maybe an allusion to, like, they might have something more, you know?
Mhm.
But... Like, that's pretty much all we get. I'm glad that scene exists. I'm glad it's here. It's just like, why?
Yeah. Why is, I mean, I don't know, it's fun. I've also got to say, just shocking that this is Dennis Christopher plays adult Eddie, and I swore from my memory that this was Malcolm Getz from Carolina in the City. I was 100% certain, and he even looks the same, but I was like, this isn't Malcolm Getz, and I just replaced this poor actor. Sorry, Dennis Christopher, I made you be Malcolm Getz in my mind.
How could you?
Because Carolina in the City was on when this was on. Like, that was Carolina in the City's heyday, and he was sort of a fey gay man, but not in the show. He was in love with Caroline, who wasn't. Like, just wild that this is not Malcolm Getz.
Yeah.
Let me just throw out my hater credits yet again, because in the scene where like Eddie's mom is like, you don't need friends, right before she pops up, Eddie tells everybody, like, I wish this summer never ends, and then the next time we see young Eddie, he's in school. Like, what are we doing? I wish you would either space them out or, like, made it not explicitly after the previous scene, because why are we doing it like this, gang?
Yeah. There's a couple continuity problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I just proving that I do have a heart filled with hate. Not enough to get my shoes wet. What the fuck are we doing?
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing. We're talking about the next scene. So, an adult Richie wraps up his television show, answering a phone call from Mike in his dressing room. He, too, remembers his childhood. Young Richie is in the Barrens with his friends, listening to a fantasy story Bill is telling them. After the story ends, Bill is about to tell them about what he saw in Georgie's room when a police officer comes to tell them that they can't dam up the Barrens and that a girl has been found dead. At school, a confrontation with the bullies leads the principal to tell Richie to go get a mop from the basement. While down there, Richie sees a wolf man who grabs him. Richie runs away, but when he looks back, the wolf man is Pennywise.
Okay. Richie seems to be one of the adult characters who is the most affected by their experience with it, and yet the Wolfman is sort of meh to me. I don't know how you all felt about it.
I think it's it's fine. I think the Wolfman is fine. I think the sequence is fine. I think it's mostly due to Seth Green just being like a talented actor.
Yeah.
But he like sells the terror from this wolfman.
Oh.
And I mean, like,
He's great.
abstractly, the idea of going to the basement and then you're confronted by a monster is terrifying as a child.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, honestly, the way that it lingers on the laughter, I think the fact that Richie comes back up and tells everybody immediately what he saw, and that everybody in the school laughs at him like he's making a joke, I think
smart.
that's kind of one of the things that really affects him, because he told everybody the truth, but it was so that they all thought he was kidding, because Trashmouth Tozer, he's the butt of the joke, and I think that maybe that might be a little bit more affecting for him.
That's so keen, Marilee. That is exactly the take that we should be having, and that is so good.
Yeah,
because that's where comedy comes from. Trauma.
Yeah.
Like you use what your mama gave you, which is trauma.
Yeah, and Harry Anderson is who plays the adult Richie, who is kind of like sitcom royalty from this era.
Yes, Night Court, like just wildly popular,
and he was very much beloved up until he passed away a couple years ago. But he it's such good casting to get him to play Richie as an adult, and it's kind of cool too because like Harry Anderson, he's not winning Oscars, or anything like that, but I think his performance is still like really good here. I believe his fear, and I believe that it is based off of this source of like trauma from the Wolfman. And Marilee, I can't stop thinking about that idea that you had. That's such a smart idea, and I think it fully describes Richie's whole deal.
Yeah, and I honestly think that adult Richie is one of the better actors in the adult sequences.
Yeah.
And like he really holds the group together in a huge way. And I think that his performance is kind of like the linchpin.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love his performance throughout.
Which is so fascinating because of Richie's opinion about the whole it situation and coming back to Derry.
Exactly.
So that'll be interesting to talk about soon.
The Harry Anderson, all the adult and children spent time together, the characters. But it is, Seth Green has cited that his work with Harry Anderson helped him be successful as an actor later in his career. And so it is really unique to think about a Seth Green who didn't have the opportunity to learn and spend time with this older mentor. And it was remarkable to me to think about the number of times that we have children and adults together where there can be this sort of mentorship. And these stories are perhaps the most poignant when characters get to play versions of each other. Mm-hmm. And I think it's incredibly neat. I think it's powerful. I think it is a story that there needs to be more space for in our media today. I think about Ian Armitage, who has spent time with, oh my God, I've forgotten his name, Jim Parsons, on the set of fucking Young Sheldon. But Ian Armitage, I think, will be an actor that we look for later in his career. And like Big Bang Theory or not, Jim Parsons is a fantastic actor. And to be able to learn from someone who had the role of an adult that you are doing as a child is so cool and so powerful. And I love that it made Seth Green who he is today. And that's really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really great call out. Thank you, David. You want my dumb Skreonk joke now?
Go for it.
Yeah, shout out Skreonk! Can't believe there was some Godzilla-based humor in this movie. It's very silly. It's very silly, but that was what I kept. I watched this twice, and both times I was like, I can't believe the punchline for this comedian's, like, the end of their set is just about the power company and Godzilla. Very silly. Anyway, at the Derry Library, Mike Hanlon takes a break from making his calls to look at the photo he took of the others on one of the best days of his childhood. Mike never forgot that childhood, but the photo helps him remember when they met and became friends. In school, young Mike is chronicling the tragedies of Derry, which happen every 30 years. After school, Mike is confronted by the bullies, but he makes it away, running to the quarry where the others are, sitting and sharing the visions that they've been having. Mike begs them for help as the bullies come, naming them the Losers Club. But the losers have armed themselves with rocks, which they pelt the bullies with. The bullies retreat.
This is so high octane. It is It is wild that Mike is both the through line for the sort of constructive narrative that we have in the miniseries, and then the thing that like finally brings them all together. And it's easy to forget that like Mike wasn't there building the dam, for example.
Yeah.
That he really is the last part of all of this, and we never get to see how Mike might have been affected by Pennywise and it until we're dealing with adult Mike. But the bullies are such a powerful manifestation of the sickness of Derry that I think it works particularly well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially because like the ABC was really worried about having meat on the skeleton, but are okay with having an N-word in there.
Several.
Yeah.
Several.
The actor that was playing the principal bully apparently profusely apologized to the actor playing young Mike every time he had to say the N-word, and they ended up becoming good friends. So it's nice. I like it too when you have stories about people that play the villain and they're actually like super nice people in real life.
Super nice, yeah.
Yeah, I love those. Y'all ever get into a rock fight?
I have never been in a rock fight, Tyler. Have you been in a rock fight?
I have not.
Wow.
I think this is a very 50s thing. Children just throwing rocks at each other.
I do too.
Because no way that would have happened when we were kids.
It feels so violent.
Yeah.
Truly and honestly. And when Bev takes one, which sort of motivates Ben to like his superhero moment, which again, like did things for me that were important for me as a child. I just think that like it looks like it hurts to get hit by a rock, and it probably does hurt to get hit by a rock.
We literally stoned people, which is just getting into a rock fight, but it's one-sided.
A one-sided rock fight.
Oh my god.
I truly thought that you asking this prompt was for you to tell a story about being in a rock fight, and I am so happy on the other end of this that you were not in a rock fight.
Do I look like the type of person to get into a rock fight?
No, but we were all children once, Tyler. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I never got into a rock fight. I don't think I ever actually got into like a fight, period. I've never had to throw a punch in self-defense. Knock on wood.
Well, you are an only child, so.
That is true. I do really like that Mike is our lore expert in all of this. I kind of, so like, we haven't talked about it too much, but Mike is our one person of color. He's a black man in this story, and really just like in Derry,
period.
Yeah, and which is why like we get the N-word thrown around by the bullies and stuff. But I think it's also kind of like, it's weird. I don't want to go into it too much because it's not my perspective to discuss, but I do think it's interesting that Mike is kind of like our lore expert, and he's the one who's been like in the trenches, but he's also kind of the only person who hasn't really lived a life. And I'm glad that the story takes the time to acknowledge that as the lighthouse keeper, they call him, he has not gotten the same level of freedom and joy that the others got to enjoy, at least for a little bit once they left Derry.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. And then, of course, there's the big emphasis on this being the Lucky Seven.
Yeah.
So the group is now complete.
Yeah. Personally, I can't get over the fact that, like, David pointed out the fact that we don't see young Mike interacting with Pennywise one-on-one. And like, I had never really considered that before, but that just really ties into my own personal thesis that, like, I think Ben is one of the least developed losers. Which is a big bummer because like he's the lighthouse keeper, he's like this very important figure. I wish that we got more character development for him. And I just don't think that we really get that.
Yeah. I Mike, of course, is a little more fleshed out in the novel because it's 1,016 pages. And so you simply must flesh out characters. And I even think the 2017 version of this does a job on Mike. I don't know that I will say a good job, but there's more. I think that adult actor for Mike, who I did not have that in front of me, does such a good job in part 2 of the miniseries of showing you that things have happened. I believe Mike Hanlon has had significant experiences with Pennywise. We just don't see them.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that from an acting perspective.
Yeah, like Mike's actor is doing the work. I wish that the script and the narrative gave him the opportunity to like do more than just show it on his face. I wish there was more stuff for him. And that is one of my biggest wishes for this narrative. I wish there was more Mike because he can do it, and I wish he'd been given the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think it's just about concision and storytelling, because when we move into this next scene, we're still in Mike's memory as far as the flashback gimmick of all this goes, but Mike's memory is them all looking through the album together that he's brought to them that chronicles all the problems that's happened in the dairy since like the beginning of history. And they even have these drawings of Pennywise the Clown and a photo of the circus coming to Derry, and that photo then comes to life, and Pennywise the Clown sort of growls at the children through the photograph, threatens to be every nightmare they ever had, and even reaches his hand through the album.
It rules.
I did not sleep this night. I did not sleep this night because of this scene. It was incredible. This sort of prompts Bill to then ask the others to help confront this creature that he believes killed his brother Georgie. And one by one, the losers embrace Bill. Before the commercial break, adult Mike wakes up from his memory, sees footprints, and then a balloon appears next to him and pops as the sound of Pennywise laughing takes us out to the break.
Dun
So
dun
good.
dun.
So real quick, I looked it up. Adult Mike is played by Tim Reed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tim Reed, you're fantastic.
Yes.
Tim Reed, you did so good.
Well, it's kind of like another thing that I think was a real good idea by the casting crew or the casting staff when they were, hiring all the adult losers, is they got a lot of people that have experience with sitcoms. Tim Reed has a lot of experience with sitcoms. He was in Sister Sister, Simon and Simon, that 70s show, but he started off, and I think his most famous role is from WKRP in Cincinnati, where he played Venus Flytrap.
Wow, I did not grok that was him. I have seen a lot of WKRP in Cincinnati.
I figured you had. I wish it was more easily accessible, but this is not the time for us complaining about inaccessible old 70s sitcoms. But it's just like, the point is, like, they did a great job because they casted a lot of people that have experience working in ensembles, and I think that's part of what makes their togetherness work so well as adults. But we'll dig into that later, like in the Chinese restaurant. I love how much of this movie feels like it is a fantasy or some kind of nightmare. I love that Bill is telling like a fantasy story earlier. I love that shit happens that is literally impossible. Reality will not allow this thing to happen. But Pennywise, because he's a shape-shifting clown, he's the fool type of character.
Yeah.
Like if this were a literary analysis, he would be like the fool because he can do things that other people aren't allowed to do. And this is that scene that, David, you said you couldn't sleep at night after you saw it because it's scary as shit. And he does things that as a child is like nightmare fuel, pure nightmare fuel. I can't imagine what these kids go through being any scarier because it's just straight out of nightmares. And I love that he can do these things that no one else can, except if you're the losers and you've all gathered together.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm also just going to say that it's not obviously the first commercial break that we've had. Hello, fucking network television. You were hearing about like yogurt every 5 minutes of this film. But this was the one that felt the most act breaky for me to put it into the scene description. And it is so startling to think about watching this with there being these significant commercial breaks, because writing in that way is so much more difficult than just writing a feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they're using the sort of adult child to be the axe. And that is very smart writing.
Totally. It actually, like, it's crazy how well the TV miniseries format works for this story.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
So, speaking of TV, Stan is watching Perfect Strangers with his wife, because we are now seeing Stan as an adult, when he finally gets his call from Mike. He doesn't commit to return to Derry. Instead, Stan excuses himself to take a bath when his memories begin to flood in. The Losers Club prepares to go into the sewers. They all share a puff on Eddie's inhaler in a much better version of Team Unification than the source novel. As they enter the sewers, the bullies follow them in. Stan ends up separated from his friends and captured by the bullies. Henry, the main bully, pulls his switchblade out to kill him, but a sudden explosion by a mysterious light abducts two of the bullies, and Stan escapes. Y'all ever watch Perfect Strangers?
Of course I've watched Perfect Strangers.
I don't think I have.
Oh, it's aged, I will say, merrily, but it's a good sitcom.
It was definitely a good sitcom of its time. I remember it showing up on Nick at Night.
Yeah.
I think first of all, I think the actor that plays Adult Stan could have graduated from the Arbogast School of Portly Gentlemen because I found him extremely handsome.
With honors. With honors.
That
and
mustache.
when we get him in Act 2, I mean, you know my ideal man is just a head in a refrigerator, but he's somehow more attractive, beheaded.
Yeah. I totally am with you on that one.
Oh my God. I love you guys.
Yeah. So I really like that after we've had everything following in like a very predictable pattern of like, we meet a new character, Mike calls them, they have a flashback, we come back to them as adult, rinse and repeat. We actually have that get complicated with Stan, who is like, I don't know if I want to come back. And even Mike is like, Stan, you got to come back. You made your promise. Don't forget your promise. And Stan is like, okay, maybe I will come back. And I think that's neat because it's a bit of foreshadowing to what happens to Stan a little later. I want to now talk about the losers preparing to go into the sewers because David wrote this part of the notes. Again, thank you, David, for covering for me. But they all share a puff on Eddie's inhaler. And you said that this is a much better version of team unification than in the source novel. Can you tell us a little bit more about that since you are the novel reader?
So this takes the space of a scene that actually even happens later in the story when the group feels fragmented and they need to be unified by an experience. And in the novel, for 7.5 pages, the unification of the Losers Club was that each boy has sexual intercourse with Bev.
And they're all teenagers.
They're like
They're
12.
children.
Yeah. They're children,
Yeah. And it is symbolically kind of cool. So Grady Hendrix of My Best Friend's Exorcism and other novels wrote a nice rewatch review of this and said, like, here's the symbolism of it, but it kind of sucks. And it's because it's children and it's very long and more detailed than I think I need the story of children having sexual intercourse with each other being.
Yeah.
So it's
it's also a little anti-feminist, if I'm being like really honest. Even in the idea that like Bev sees it as a gift, she's giving her virginity away, which is something that like women should do because your virginity is this precious gift, whereas men should conquest and like you're losing or making sexual debut is not a big deal for a man because it's just part of your sort of growth versus this gift. The whole thing's fucking complicated. I actually love the inhaler sequence sort of irrespective of that, but especially in context of them saying we need this sort of like team, gird your loins, what are we going to do? And everyone takes the puff off the inhaler.
I think it's so smart. I think it's so great. And especially because the inhaler becomes so important as the story goes on. I certainly prefer that over what's in the original novel, although I read that Grady Hendrix quote, and I've also heard other people saying like it is kind of like the emotional core of the novel, which makes it complicated and kind of beautiful. But I have not personally read it, so I'm going off of what you said, David, and I will tell you I do not want to read that. So,
well, not only did I read it as a child, I also reread it just after reading Hendrix's review, and I've got to say it does read kind of queer too, because it is sort of like, well, we're all one family, like we should share this intimacy with each other. But then it kind of sucks that it's just Bev being used by 6 men.
That's kind of my issue too. With when we're talking about the queerness of the Losers Club, I am fully on board with everything that we have talked about, right? But I think Bev kind of has to take on too much of a role to be like the emotional or sexual component of the family. I think that is of course obvious in the novel, but I think also in the miniseries, we just see Bev kind of move from boy to boy, like giving them like kisses on the lip, on like the cheek, or even on the lips. She just shows like more affection to Bill, but it kind of passes around. But the other boys don't do the same thing to each other.
Right.
So it is just still kind of like, why is Bev unique in this respect? So it's just like, I don't know, like the story around Bev, I really want to read the novel to get more of an understanding on it. But I think anytime you have an association with like the passing of innocence and moving on to a new phase in your life and leaving childhood behind and starting adulthood. And then you have a girl who is in that prime age of puberty, and there's a heavy focus on blood and her being in the bathroom and there's blood everywhere. And I think there's just a lot going on there that I don't know if King knew what he was doing with it or did it intentionally, but I think it's just kind of like there, and we just should maybe comment that it's there, but we don't have to dig too much deeper into it unless we want to.
Yeah. I do think it's important to remember that Stephen King was out of his mind on cocaine when he wrote this, like absolutely sandblasted. And
at a point in his career where his contract was no editors, like that, like this didn't get an edit.
That's crazy, but I guess it also explains the page number.
Yeah, but then I do also think it's important to point out that no contemporary reviews of it when it first came out mentioned this.
Exactly.
So like he was out of his mind on cocaine. What's y'all excuse?
Yeah. They were also out of their mind on cocaine. It was the 80s.
Nobody flagged this. And I read this at, how old was I? 9?
God.
When I read this book? 10, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I read a Stephen King until I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. This was better than sex ed for me, because it taught me what to do.
Yeah. Well, anyway. I think, so we're going into the sewer, right? And we're about to have our confrontations with it and everything. Stan ends up getting separated and captured by the bullies, and then we get like our first exposure to Pennywise's overt supernatural stuff going on here, and suddenly things start to become very different, and the bullies are killed by one.
Yeah. And like the guy that gets crunched into the pipe.
Yeah.
I love him.
Good.
I actually put that in the notes because that's one of the things that I think works really well and freaks me out, because the body should not do
folded.
that.
Oh, yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
God, it's great. And then Henry's like flock of seagulls pure white afterwards. That is a really killer visual as like the camera moves past him. So good.
Oh yeah, like the little actor there, he did a great job of showing like this is not the same Henry that we had, 10 minutes ago. This is now a very different young boy.
Yeah, well, actively homicidal Henry, who is actively there to do a murder, and his two friends are like, yeah, sure, we could do a murder. It's like, nothing better to do today.
Love doing murders.
Insane. So Stan and the rest of the losers reunite and join hands as the source of the mysterious light flies over them. They are all tempted by visions. Stan recites his Boy Scout's oath when Pennywise grabs him. And like he physically picks the child up and moves him away from the group in a scene that I thought was like really good.
Really scary.
Pennywise tells the losers that he is eternal, the eater of worlds and children. And they are all next. Eddie tells Pennywise that his inhaler is battery acid before spraying it in the face and melting the clown. Bev uses her slingshot to pierce Pennywise with a silver earring. But before they can finish it, Pennywise retreats. Bill makes the group swear that if it isn't dead, they will all come back.
Listen, we're going to run into these earrings several more times, and the notes will always say stones, because you cannot wear these on your ears. I do not ear jewelry. These are, frankly, ingots. Like, they're so big.
Yeah, silver's pretty heavy. If these are solid silver, I would not be comfortable wearing them for more than 20 minutes.
So we're gonna call them stones.
Can I also just say too, like the silver ingots, stones, earrings, whatever, the silver globules. I love that all of the kids are like, how the fuck is this gonna work? We don't know shit about this. And then they're just like, if we believe it, it will. And it's like, damn, y'all, you figured it out. Like, you cracked the code.
They were like, we have the cliff notes of this novel. Like, we are good to go.
We are 500 pages into this 1,000-tome beast. We have figured out its weakness.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I love that. I love this whole thing.
The earrings are so ugly. Just
that is again why they are not earrings, Merrily. They are ore mined from the earth.
Well, I thought they were like silver things that got melted together.
Well, which they are
into little blobs.
They are in the novel. I'm so glad you asked, Tyler. They are silver dollars that Ben's father left him, that they as children melt into things that they can use with the slingshot.
Well, Stephen King didn't have the internet and couldn't look up how do you melt silver. So I will allow it in this one instance. But yeah, just before we move on, I think we should talk about this final conflict with Pennywise for the children, because this is also going to be like a wrap on the kids.
Pennywise's little monologue of "I am the eater of worlds and children." It's like eating worlds is terrifying by itself. That's Eldritch basics, right? Like that's Cthulhu. But then for him to be like, "and children," that is very scary because it's a clown who is supposed to make you balloon animals, not eat you.
And it's like, eater of worlds, whatever, that's abstract. I'm a child. I'm children.
Yeah.
You're gonna eat me?
That's me.
That's me.
God, that's such a great point. I love that. Y'all are fun.
I was gonna say too, like how it works with the inhaler.
Yeah. God, I love the like, this is battery acid, you slime.
Yeah, and the melt on Tim Curry, the makeup of him, this was the worst makeup to put on. He has spoken about this, but I'm not going to lie, it looks really, really good.
Oh my God. It's so effective.
It is the best makeup of this miniseries, and this has some great makeup effects throughout, but this is top tier.
Yeah, like the KY jelly that they put on to make it like sticky as he pulls his hand away.
Oh, it's great. It's so great.
So good.
Great.
So good.
I think just like overall, this is a better end to Pennywise than when we get at the end, like the true end of Pennywise.
Yeah, but you know they cracked the shell, but they didn't go all of the way, which is why, remember kids, you always have to make sure to double tap your Eldritch Abominations, otherwise you'll have a problem again in 30 years. It's basic the horrors management. Come on now.
Get it together.
Because you're right, he slinks away. We get another claymation moment in which Pennywise makes himself tubular and he goes down a drain. I love Bill reaching for him, and they grab his hand to try to pull him back up, and then the hand becomes this like claw. Also, really fucking scary. Really, really frightening.
Really good. But the claw slinks away, and they're all like, "We have to find it, and kill it." And the other kids are like, "Nah, dude, it's gonna die." They didn't double tap. It's a problem.
Well, with the oath to Bill made, the scene reverts back to Stan's house where his wife is coming to join him in the bath. Same girl. But once she is inside, she finds Stan dead by suicide. And with his blood, he has scrawled the letters IT on the tiles of the shower, spelling it. And this serves as a break between the first and second parts of the television miniseries. So this would have been the end of your evening.
Bummer.
Like the piecemeal parts of the reveal are, it's just, it works so well here until it doesn't. But like for most of the sequence, it rules because like you know something's wrong, and like you see the wife like piecing it together, but we only see so like little bits and pieces of what's happening until the full reveal. It's phenomenally well done.
Yeah, and a lot of that was done to get around censorship, but I think ends up being a Bruce the Shark. We didn't see enough of it to take us out of the fantasy, and so we were allowed to be in the fantasy, and that was effective.
Agreed.
Yeah, plus also, you know, if you're in a traumatic moment, like sometimes it can be hard to look at the whole picture, so you focus in on individual pieces while your brain is trying to put everything together. It reads as authentically traumatic in a really real way.
Totally.
Luckily, we don't have to wait for the next airing of the miniseries because the version that is on streaming just keeps going.
Yay! So, it is present day in Derry, and Bill arrives at the graveyard to pay his respects to Georgie. He sees a vision of Pennywise digging graves, with one of 7 spots already taken. Bill goes to the library and reunites with Mike. They both share that they can feel the others arrive, and Mike shows Bill the bicycle that Bill rode as a child, which I think is called Silver.
Yeah, like the horse from the...
Like the horse. So, meanwhile, Richie has also made his way back to Derry. In the library, he has a vision of Pennywise, which drops dozens of balloons on the library patrons. Each explodes with blood, but only Richie can see it.
All right. So again, think about yourself as a television viewing audience in 1990. You are coming back to this movie. And so I've got to say, this does a really, really good job of getting you back up to speed with what's going on. And these two sequences are some of Curry's best with Pennywise. I've already talked about the brilliance of putting this man in a hole, but in the grave, he's so good. And at one point in time, he like leans on his hand.
Oh my God, it's so good.
It's so fucking good. And again, because that is what a clown would do. It's almost mimery at that point of time to look bored at a situation that is anything but boring. And then to add the horror of the digging graves, and one of the graves already taken because we, the audience, know Richie, we know Stan is dead. Like, so good, so wonderful. But Bill's actor is just not meeting the moment of Curry, and that is all I will say about that, is that will happen many times.
Yeah.
It's hard to be in a scene, I would assume, with Stephen Curry, who is giving one of the best performances of Curry.
Tim Curry, Marilee! Tim Curry!
We will continue to roast you until you get it right.
Yeah, no, please do. Again, I don't know. Stephen King and Tim Curry
occupy the same memory bank.
Having it, yeah, they're both names that are important to this, and they're pinging around. And my brain is so bad at names, gang. But yeah, so Tim Curry, I bet it would be very difficult for any actor to like match his energy in a scene, let alone this actor.
Yeah.
Well, it's not to say also that Richard Thomas, the actor that's playing Adult Bill, is untalented. He was John Boy.
Good.
Yeah. He was John Boy Walton in The Waltons, which your grandparents probably watched. He won, and David
and me. I watched The Waltons, but did not like watching The Waltons. It was like punishment.
Oh
right.
My God.
Good night, John Boy. Anyway, but yeah, he's got an Emmy nomination. He's got 2 Golden Globe Award nominations. Like, he's definitely like a capable actor. He's very good. But I think, it's just Tim Curry is on another level, and he just kind of like sweeps everyone else like off the table. Except when I think we get to the next scene with Richie, because it's just like everything is like working on all cylinders in that scene. I love it.
Oh my God. In the library? Yeah. Yes. That is some of the best Curry. And when he does that affected voice telling these truly terrible puns that are essentially they're crank yankers. They're phone call gags that you would do. That is very clownish, but the level difference, it's so good, y'all. The library is
the noisemaker as Richie's trying to talk. It's all it's so
to
good.
Me,
the balloons all popping in succession,
one after the other. And I've got to tell you, Tyler, to me, this is peak clown horror. Like if we're looking for the best clown horror, it is either the graveyard scene or it is the library scene. It is the opening of the second part of the miniseries, and this will be the peak of the second part of the miniseries, and I mean this discouragingly, but it is all downhill from here.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
Okay,
well, I don't know. We'll talk about
let's
it.
Let's go.
But
there's a couple other really good sequences.
Yeah, there's more good stuff, but like I think, overall, I just think the library scene is the best. I think it also really works too because of Anderson's performance is like very convincing. Like, I love seeing a guy who is all put together and kind of cocky and loudmouth, his trash mouth tozer, losing his shit.
Yeah.
I love that. And nothing feels better than that. And especially like in this particular sequence, which is genuinely so scary and also has a social fear element as well, because Harry, Richie is freaking the fuck out and he's having a meltdown and everyone around him is looking at him as he's crazy.
Yeah. Genuinely.
Because he's shouting in a library and it's delicious.
It is truly delicious. I love that description for it. That is exactly what it is.
And I think, unfortunately, the following scene with Mike and Bill is a little bit of a hit the brakes on the scare energy that we've got going on, but it is also very heartwarming, and I think it is important for the delivery of the story for them to have this really nice moment. And this, I will say, is fantastic time with these actors. Them riding the bicycle together, them being sort of becoming children together again is very good.
Yeah, and like the way that they mix the shots between the adults Bill and Mike playing on a bike to the kids playing on a bike, and it's really really good. And they pull out the bicycle cards, and like it's a really fun little moment. And just in case you were wondering, the ship name between Bill and Mike is Bicycle.
Adorable.
Well, Mike does make a point of saying I'm a bachelor before being like, come into my home, so I believe it.
Yep.
They're
queer baby.
Also, I just, you know what, not to be hating is usually Marilee's territory, but to be a hater for a second, Mike is like, I have to go change, and then comes back in a fucking 3-piece suit. Change better, Mike better. Put on something comfortable. Good Lord.
He's a librarian.
Well, I the way that he's like, I have to go change, because like they're gonna go to dinner and meet up with everybody at the Chinese restaurant. I think that if you think about it, like Mike is just a librarian. All of his friends are rich and famous. Maybe he wants to like put on a suit to like be to like try and meet them at their rich and famous level.
It's very off-brand of you to talk someone out of hating something, Marilee, but you have done it. You are successful in this moment.
I think we all just like Mike too much to hate on him.
I love him.
Too
I do genuinely love him. I wanted him to put on sweats though. Like, good Lord, these people aren't anything fancy. You owe them nothing, Hanlon.
Just before we jump on, God, like, wow, standards of dress have really changed, because they're all like kind of closest to our age. My ass is not putting on a suit to go out for dinner. Sorry, y'all.
No.
Especially at a Chinese restaurant in Derry, Maine.
No, I wore a bear shirt to meet Tyler. That was the only thing that was important to me, was to show off that I too understand our culture.
Yes, thank you for that. I recognized it and I approved it, and I let the other bears know.
Thank you.
Oh, you got in touch with the bear
I
council?
got in touch with the Council of Bears. We all went woof at the same time. But I'll tell, that's a story for another day and another podcast.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's a story for the next scene, Tyler. We've got some queer history coming on it for you.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. So Ben arrives back in Derry and stops by the Barrens just in time to watch another group of bullies chasing another kid. Ben goes to help him, which leads to Ben seeing a skeleton creature near the entrance of the sewers. Back in the cab, Ben sees a vision of Pennywise, and a balloon appears next to him in one of the most effective jump scares in the piece, in my opinion.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Very scary. Didn't need the words on it. This balloon was fine. It was perfect.
I kind of like the words, because it really is to me, it's setting up the fact that, like, Pennywise does not want them here because he knows they can kill him. So he's doing everything in his power to get them out, which I thought was fun.
I also appreciate that we lingered on the balloon long enough to see what it says, which is a classic gag that I love. Even if that's not in TV land, that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, that's true. So Eddie has also made it back. He remembers going to the pharmacist as a child, where he learned that his inhaler was a placebo. When adult Eddie gets his prescription filled, he encounters the previous pharmacist and has a vision where he hears Pennywise's voice warning him to get away.
Wow. Okay. Lots to talk through in the sequence, but I will start with Ben helping this other child who is being bullied because of his weight in the Barrens. Ben pulls a black handkerchief from his back right pocket, and I know who you are, Ben Hanscom, you little slut. Because a black handkerchief in the right pocket means heavy S&M bottom. Let's go, John Ritter. I am ready.
Oh, John Ritter. God.
I don't understand why this handkerchief makes such an impact on this child. And so I have to make a hanky code reference because too much attention is paid to it. And this is a scene that could have been cut. I'm sorry. Like, the Pennywise scare works perfectly well without this reminder trip to the Barrens, and just a little bit more 1990 fatphobia now, not just 1960.
Yeah, and like them fucking doing that suey pig call when they're chasing the kid, horrendous.
I don't like it. Yeah. I guess Derry's evil, I get it.
Yeah.
But that point has already been made. I don't
just need a reminder that still evil. Hey guys.
I also do really like the sequence with Eddie. I like that this is where we get the revelation, which I think you could have guessed, that he is not actually sick, that this is something that's being foisted upon him. I think it's easy to us to think about this as Munchausen or factitious disorder, which is what we're calling Munchausen now, where someone is making someone sick in order to like get the benefits of them being sick. But in reality, this is sort of like induced illness anxiety disorder or induced hypochondria, because it doesn't seem like Eddie's mom is getting anything out of the sickness outside of control, and that's where hypochondria comes from.
Yeah.
So just wild to have all that in Eddie's character, and that is Eddie's trauma. Just a very, very incredible thing to include in this film.
I also think that the sequence with the pharmacist with adult Eddie is really good, because like
Agreed.
he goes over to him and he's like tries to thank him for trying to help him as a kid, but like the way that, you know, his Alzheimer's presumably has like affected this man to where he's able to be possessed temporarily by it. Really good.
So good. Wow, Marilee, if you like things being possessed by it, then yes, you should read this novel, because people get possessed all over the place up in Derry.
Well,
just straight on possessed.
That's really interesting, because that's not really a thing in either adaptation. Most of the time, it is like creating things whole cloth for the kids and adults to see. This is the only real instance that I can remember off the top of my head in either version where a living person is possessed, and I think that's pretty neat.
I think it's the most effective example of that too, because that is some spooky ass shit. Like, this whole scene is very like classic scary kind of haunted house shit. Like, this is so good. That actor did an excellent job too of just seeming like a very creepy old man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and every once in a while we use the same actor for before and after. We just do some added makeup. And I think the pharmacist is one that I can remember, and the other one is Eddie's mom. So wow, they're all surrounding this character. So like Eddie can change, but nothing in his life changes is like also a kind of scary meta thing.
Yeah. And I know that in the book, Eddie's mom isn't in the picture. He's married.
He's married to his mother.
Yeah, like a woman who's exactly like her. I do think that is a change in this adaptation that works in like the narrative's favor, because I love the point that you just made, David, that wouldn't be in the novel or in the other adaptation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, though in the novel, his wife is committing Munchausen by proxy, is committing a crime to keep him sick.
Yeah,
so that she can, whatever. Lots to do there.
Lots of stuff.
But wait, we've got to scare me more, because Bev comes home. Oh, Annette O'Toole, I can never be scared while you're on screen. That's just not true. She goes to her old house and rings the doorbell marked Marsh, but it turns out that was just a vision she was having, and it's actually Kirsch, and she is welcomed inside by a kind woman who tells her that Bev's father has passed. After the woman guzzles some hot tea, Bev sees that the tea is actually blood, and the woman's voice becomes Pennywise's. But then the image and voice is that of her father in like a deteriorated state, and Bev escapes to see a vision of Pennywise on the porch laughing at her. When Bev looks back, the house is all boarded up.
Ooh.
This is really rough. This is really
this is scary as fuck.
Okay.
Just old women offering you tea is scary to me, Marilee. I don't know how else to give that to you. The blood doesn't bother me. Whatever. Drink blood. I don't care. But then the father makeup is so fucking good.
Yeah. When you first said this scene is like rough for a second, I thought you were saying that you didn't like it. And
no.
I was about
It's
to be
rough,
like
scary.
really offended, because this is one of my favorite sequences in the film.
It's one of the best sequences.
This rules. I think that this is like they do this scene again in the part 2. And this scene is like so much better here. I love this whole sequence, like, and like the way that the tension keeps ratcheting up throughout the scene is so effective. I love it.
So good. Oh yeah, no, rough from a scary to watch.
This to me felt like I mentioned earlier that the production crew were talking about like we really want to channel Twin Peaks here, and I think this is a very Twin Peaks like Bob is revealed kind of scene. You know, it's just like slowly building up, and it is truly someone's nightmare. Like we're going by nightmare logic here, and it's so effective as a result.
Yeah, and just like she like again like guzzles is
like cartoonishly.
Yeah, and then like when she puts the teacup down, even before Bev like looks at her tea and notices that it's like that thick viscous blood, like her teeth have visibly changed. She'll be like rotting and like with black mold. And then like Bev looks again, just like the guzzling the tea, something is already, oh, that's wrong. Look down, oh no, blood, drops it. She like kneels down and like becomes her father in an insane way. Like every twist and reveal works.
Mm-hmm.
And then she comes out and it's Pennywise who like laughs at her. It's so good.
Pennywise is so mean.
Yes, Bev will literally say that in a little bit, Tyler. Why is it so mean? One of my least favorite lines of the second part of this. If we could have, I would have stretched the scene a little bit more. I would have cut some other things, and I actually would have spent a little bit more time because this was so horrifying and so good. But it was, to watch this at 1.15 speed would have been like a blip because it goes remarkably quick. And for being the scariest, maybe one of the best crafted scenes, I could have spent more time here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree, but I also do think that pacing is part of the reason why this scene works.
Yeah, you're
so
probably
well.
right. You're probably right, Marilyn.
So I don't know where you would fine tune the balance of it, but it kills. The scene sings.
Yeah.
Back in England, Audra plans to fly to Derry, worried about Bill. The Losers Club, without Stan, of course, all convene at a Chinese restaurant. They remark on their lost memories returning and the visions of Pennywise, which they deem that they have all been having. Mike tries to talk to them about the promise that they made and the ongoing murders. Some of them, however, plan to leave almost immediately. They all open their fortune cookies at the end of dinner, and each contains something frightening or grotesque. They all have to leave.
So, first, poor Audra. Again, you should be in the movie more. This almost, it sort of just flies on by, but she's got to get there so that we can have sort of Bill's moment of heroism. But this whole sequence in the Chinese restaurant is meant to be evocative of the dam sequence for part 2. And I think, especially if you had watched this as a miniseries and there was a period of time, but then in these two versions, this doesn't work. As a parallel of the dam sequence. I think it is fine for what it is doing with these characters and them reliving their experiences and building on all of that. That's all great and I love it and it's yummy. But it is meant to directly parallel 6 of the losers being together and enjoying their camaraderie and building something together, either a friendship or their reconstructed memories. And this, I think part of it is that the dam scene is just so fucking good, and it's hard to reach that level.
I agree with you, David. I don't think it is as good as the dam building scene. I think that this scene has to rely on like Anderson coming in and saying like, well, hey, let's all just be normal and pretend that it isn't here. And you didn't have to do that during the dam building scene because it was kind of like implied, so it starts, so that feels like a little bit like of weak writing. But I think like I see what they were doing. I think it's a nice parallel. I don't think it's as strong as the rock building sequence, but the scene still works for me. I still really enjoy it. And it's actually really nice after seeing all of the adult characters separate and terrified, being able to congregate and make jokes and have fun and like touch each other in like a friendly sort of way that they just weren't doing when they were kids. And I like that it displays like a passage of time, but at their core, they're still kind of who they were. And because part of this whole thing is like they're trying to figure out their memories, that is a nice sort of like way to repair that.
I love that. I had never ever really considered this as like a parallel to the dam building scene, which like shame on me, but it hadn't occurred to me. And which is even more silly because I'm pretty sure they use the same song in the background for both sequences. Mm-hmm. Like, what was I doing here? Where was my critical brain? But I do think it's interesting to point out that as kids, they played together and did this physical activity building the dam, right? But as adults, they have to sit and eat a meal and like pay for the privilege of being in a space together. I don't know if that's relevant to anything, but I do think it's interesting the way that like as you grow up, you lose access to play in a really real way.
Yeah,
I love that.
Ronald Reagan as Pennywise. Yeah, 100%. The capitalism is here. The capitalism is with us in the building.
Yeah, she's in the room with us, and frankly, I hate that bitch.
Yeah. But I actually like that you pointed that out, Marilee. I think it just all kind of comes together to inform this scene being like, they are still who they were, even if things are different, but also they can never go back to how they were.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I love like kind of tales like that about growing up and how you have to end some parts of yourself and leave some things behind, and there's just no going back to it.
Right.
And
Right.
that's kind of sad. And I like that. I like stories about growing up where that's the focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that would have made the sequence work better as a parallel is that there are people who are not the losers who are in there with their montage, which are the servers. And I would have cut that right out. I think you lose the servers and this becomes a more intimate and replicable experience of the dam building scene. But because there's someone else there, frankly, every time we see one of the servers, it takes me out of what the story is supposed to be about, which is these kids who have reunited.
Well,
so what you're saying is they should have had this scene in Mike's house. He should have ordered in.
No, I mean, this is not real life. I don't need to see people bringing them food. The food can just magically appear. Like especially when you're trying to do something artistic like mirror scenes. This was a mistake of the director and the script that should have just been caught in the process, and that's unfortunate. Even to the point that I understand that when the cookie moment happens, which is fucking great, we need to again show that only they see it, and the waitress comes in to help them, and she's like, what's wrong? And obviously there's a fucking eyeball on the table, but she can't see it, only they can see it. I get what that's trying to communicate. I would have lost that in order to keep this a more intimate experience for them. And the scare is good enough without having to remind us that you can only see the blood, no one else can see the blood. It's fine. I don't need that. I'd rather have this intimacy.
Yeah. And it's like they almost did it because they are they're put in their own area, like the private dining room, but it's not that private because you still see the other customers are around too, and it's just it's not like I definitely see your criticism, David, and I agree with it because I think part of why they go here and they emphasize this is our safe space is because it really should just be them. They were alone when they were building the dam, but they're not alone. They're in a very busy restaurant, it seems. And I think part of that is because maybe the director had too much fun with this scene, because there's some not only do we have the fortune cookies, which I definitely want to talk about in a second, but also there's cameras that are following the food coming in. There's some wonders that are done that aren't as long as the Eddie scene, but still they're there. And it's just kind of we're doing a little bit too much. We're having too much fun here. We need to cut this down and focus more on our characters because that's who this is really about.
Wow. Tyler, role-playing the second assistant director who had to tell the children actors to stop having fun on set because they were distracting the production team.
Now the production, they're having too much fun, distracting the production team from having too much fun.
Let these actors act. Yeah, I really am splitting hairs, but the emotional climax that's supposed to be delivered here is so important for part 2 that anything that stops that from delivering is what makes part 2 inferior.
Yeah.
Really well put. Y'all want to talk about the fortune cookies?
I would love to talk about the fortune cookies.
So good. They're so good. Every single one of the abominations that comes out of this is so very good. Small scale horror.
And they're all old school haunted house tricks.
And they're all different, which I think is really fun. I wish that you could almost subscribe a meaning to each of them, but that simply is too much thought. Though I do think it is neat that Bev's is the one that explodes into blood. Continuing the menstruation metaphor, but
I love all of them. They are all horrific in different ways. I don't think a lot about small scale horror because I think a lot of the horror that we've covered on pod have been big scares, but just to crack open a fortune cookie and have it be the dying fetus of a chick was so haunting to see. And again, Reed does such a good job reacting to that it's horror, but it's not everyone else is screaming and an eyeball, what will I do? Whereas Reed is just sort of solemn, and it communicates to me that he's lived with this shit for 30 fucking years because he didn't leave Derry.
Yeah.
And he is just he's disturbed by it, but he doesn't jump off the table. And that is so good. So good. And then the waitress comes and is like, what's wrong with your cookies? And that I was like, oh, get out of here. Let me have more time with these people.
Yeah. I get that they wanted to have like a little bit of tension and not making the losers seem like we're trying not to look crazy. We're trying not to look crazy, but it's like that's you're putting too many hats on.
Yep.
Yeah,
Too
like
many
you
hats.
did that scene already with Richie in the library. This is just an inferior attempt to capture the magic of that scene again.
100%.
Yeah.
Really, 100%.
A greatest hits compilation that just doesn't fly.
Yeah. Doesn't hit as hard the second time.
Yeah. Talk about something else that doesn't hit merrily. Bring us into the next scene.
Okay, David. So the bully Henry Bowers hasn't left Derry and is now institutionalized in a psychiatric unit. He sees the face of Pennywise on the moon, who tells them to kill them all. At the library, Mike tries to figure out why Stan didn't make it. They learn that Stan is dead. They remember that Stan saw what was behind the clown, and that he had looked right in its deadlights. They open a refrigerator for a drink, and inside is Stan's head, which mocks them. When Bill shuts the refrigerator door, the library is subjected to mass chaos. The losers join hands, and everything returns to normal. Bill finds the paper from the typewriter, which has been typed. He thrusts his fist against the post, but still insists he sees the ghost. A phrase that Bill was given to help overcome his stutter.
Yeah, so let's deal with Henry Bowers real quickly. I love Pennywise on the Moon. I will not critique that. That
rules.
More faces should appear in moons. I don't like that he's in the psychiatric unit. I don't like him in Act 2 at all. I do not like him on a bus. I will not take him to Albatross. Like it just doesn't work for me, gang.
Yeah. I also think that it's wild that they just have a bunch of patients sleeping in a hallway. And I know that it's Maine or whatever, but come on, do better.
Yeah, it's I actually didn't find that too unbelievable because of the state of healthcare in this country, even in 1990.
There's the real horror.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like ERs constantly have people out in their hallways, so I figure, sure, why not a mental institution?
My problem is that the library scene is so good, the Chinese scene is so good, and you put this in the middle.
You really do halt.
It
like
halts
the
progression.
progress.
Yeah. Yep. And
100%. Yeah.
And merrily, again, let's think about where the commercial went. And so now I have to not only live with the psychiatric unit scene, but a commercial about like what body soaps will make my man crazy. I hate this. I need that tension. That tension is so good, and this disrupts it too much, I'm afraid.
David, even worse. There were cutaways to George H.W. Bush's visit to Iraq.
I know. Oh my God, that's right.
Oh my God.
Oh, news at 9. Oh, I hate this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish Henry Bowers didn't have to have the role that he was in, so that we could have just ignored this.
Yeah.
This to me feels like a holdover from H.P. Lovecraft's influence on Stephen King, in that there's always some character who has seen the thing that you should not see because your brain will go topsy-turvy and melt over it. His hair turns white. Like, I think that is really cool. I don't even hate the idea that Pennywise is talking to Henry Bowers specifically and telling him, like, I can't get to them, but you can.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, yeah, it just throws the whole thing to a crushing halt.
Right.
And there's just nothing else about it. And then eventually Henry escapes, and it's not even very, like, good.
Yeah.
It's not entertaining. But now I do want to talk about the library.
Which is great.
The
library might be my favorite scene in part 2.
I think that the head in the fridge does such a good Pennywise without being Pennywise that I might have to give it to the sequence over Bev's sequence, because the old woman becoming her father was scary, but this is a better version of a clown in horror. So for the purposes of this conversation, I have to agree with Tyler. This is a better sequence because it's a different aspect of Pennywise.
Yeah, that's fair.
We never see like the members of the losers like get possessed or anything like that. They don't say the mean things that Pennywise says, and it's kind of neat to have Stan doing that, even if it's just a head in a fridge. Because he also like goes in on each of them.
Yeah, and I like that they all instantly recognize that it is Stan, because even though he looks nothing like the child actor, like that's their friend. They know him,
right?
And I thought that was really good. I before even we get to the fridge, though, I want to talk a little bit about like all of the losers hanging out as Mike is making the phone call, because they really see how well these people get along and like what good friends they are, and I really think that this version sells the chemistry of the adult losers in a real way, and that is part of what makes the like part 2, in my opinion, like I know that it's not as good as part 1, but like even so you get these really high highs because of their chemistry together. Yeah. And I just love like all like Richie's like doing a set for his friends as they hang out, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of that is due to the ensemble casting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because like I said earlier, like what's so great about so many of these adult actors is they come from ensembles, so like sitcoms or ensemble dramas. I mean, for God's sakes, like Bill's character played John Boy Walton, which is the biggest ensemble there could have been on TV at the time. So I think like all of this feels like one big play. Like it's locked into this one location. Really, it could be like a gimmick if it were isolated to like one TV episode.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's here. Everything happens here. We follow the characters around the different parts of the set. They're interacting with it.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels very theatrical. And so when these things happen, it also feels very theatrical. And it just all like works so well because so much of theater is dependent on the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And the dialogue here is doing such a good job of doing what Marilee said, and that it makes everyone feel like they know each other and they all got this history. I could just go on and on about how much I love this scene.
Yeah.
And you know, like you saying like it's a play and talking about like the camera movement, and you said very specifically that it's if this could be like a one episode gimmick. It reminded me very much of the 7th episode of Mike Flanagan's Hill House, Two Storms. Like Mike Flanagan's never gonna get his hands on it, but if he did, I would expect a Two Storms moment for this if he did.
Some Two Stormsing of like the characters changing to their children and being the adults and changing to their children and being the adults would have been fucking incredible in this sequence.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
And like I could have seen it like they did a little bit of that earlier with Mike and Bill, and I wish that they had done some of that here as well. That would have ruled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, like Haunting a Hill House is kind of like Mike Flanagan's riff, in addition to Shirley Jackson, is on it, because there is that interaction between children and adults. So yeah, I love that. I think that would, if Mike Flanagan ever got his hands on it, I think it would be really good.
Could be very interesting. Very interesting. But as it is, I still do really like the library sequence. I love how practical all of the chaos is. Like I know how to make boards because we did Blithe Spirit in the theater, so I know how to make books fall off bookshelves, and that is exactly the techniques they are using. I don't know how to make papers fly, but like a wind machine, I assume,
yeah, you
is
just
going
get a big
on
old
here.
fan, I think.
Bring in like fucking rain. It's all so well done. And I think it's impressive how Pennywise it all feels without Tim Curry in this sequence as well.
Yeah. And like we get a little bit of like Tim Curry's voice in the head in the fridge, but even still, like you don't need him for that sequence. It rules as is.
Mm-hmm. I know how impactful the thrust his fists against the post still insists he sees the ghost is for Bill. I just don't, it feels a little heavy. His reaction feels a little heavy. Because I think we're supposed to interpret Bill a little bit more as our hero, and he is the hero of all of this. And it just doesn't work for me, and it sets like a lead stone after this really, really good sequence for him to like devolve into nothingness, and then it's a commercial break, you know?
Yeah. Well, so you're right. I wish that like in the climax he had been able to use that phrase as like a magic keyword against it. I think would have like ruled of three'd it into being something better. But as it is, like the actor really delivers on like him trying to deal with his stutter in a way that like seems almost physically painful for him as he's trying to talk, and then Richie just livens the moment, was like, well, I don't think it worked, and then like giving a little blowing a kiss and like everybody laughing after that. I think that scene really works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, Marilee,
it feels,
if you want this phrase to come back in a meaningful way, you should read this novel. You are pulling the greatest hits from this book out.
Well, I do love that line.
Yeah.
It's such a good like quote. Like, damn. Really
I do just genuinely love that everything Marilee is like, oh, it would have been better if it was this. It comes from the source material. Like, you're batting 1,000, Marilee.
I'm good at narrative, which is a thing that is possible to achieve and normal to want.
Well, we're back with my least favorite sequence because we're treated to a scene of Henry escaping the psychiatric unit before the losers take focus in the hotel that they are staying in. Mike tells them that it is still alive, repeating its 30-year cycle of tragedy that affects the town. And this is where the losers work out that all of Derry is affected by the presence, ignoring the problems that the town continues to face. At the edge of town, Audra stops to get directions at a gas station, but the man giving her directions becomes Pennywise, and Audra becomes trapped in the deadlights.
No, they damseled our girl.
They really did, Marilee. They really did.
What the fuck?
Is that in the source material also, or was that?
No, Tom kidnaps Audra.
Are you serious?
Yes. Tom, Bev's abusive husband, becomes possessed by the it and kidnaps Audra.
Did he go to England?
No, sorry. She did come to Derry. That part was in the novel. I was worried about Belle. But no, it is far stranger.
God.
That's nuts.
And Tom is an asshole. So you are really afraid for Audra. I was very afraid for Audra.
Yeah, no, obviously you would be. Damn.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we got to read this book.
All your villains come back for part 2. So Henry's there, Tom's there, fatphobia's there, everything comes back.
The ultimate.
No. Yeah, ultimate. Yeah. I think that, again, I know that you don't like the Bowers scenes. I think that the pacing maybe would have played a little better if both of those two sequences were strung together into one thing.
Agreed.
Because at the beginning of the Bowers sequence here, right, he's clearly ignored Moon Pennywise, and so his friend like pops up under the bed as like a rotting corpse or whatever, and then convinces Henry. Now, if they had just done the two scenes as one scene, I think it would have helped with the pacing.
Agreed.
Problem.
I agree. But then I
guess...
also don't need Pennywise turning into an attack dog.
Is it an attack dog, or that looked like a fucking pug?
It doesn't work. Whatever it is, it does not work.
Yeah.
No. I liked him appearing behind like Henry to the guy, and like the sequence where like you first see Pennywise, that worked. But then him becoming the dog does not.
Doesn't work.
Well, in the hotel, the losers are deciding what to do. When Ben, Eddie, and Mike go upstairs, Ben has a romantic encounter with Bev, but it's actually Pennywise.
Dun dun dun.
Mike is stabbed by Henry Bowers. Eddie and Ben go on to save him and kill Henry. Yay. The losers take Mike to the hospital. He is stable, and Bill goes in to see him. Mike explains that he previously went back to the sewers and got the silver stones, ingots, earrings, whatever they fired at Pennywise's children. He gives them back to Bill. Bill convinces the others to go back and finally kill it.
Okay, let's start with the realization that it's Pennywise that Ben is making time with. How this is so
fucked.
Good. This is so
so
good.
fucked.
Oh my God,
it's so good.
So good.
It's so good. Like the way that it's shot is it's a little bit of Stephen King reheating his own nachos from like the Shining reveal scene, but like even still, I honestly feel like this works a little better. Just like the way that Bill looks into the mirror and like sees the hand on his shoulder and like the white clown hand and like the grease paint on his face, and then like the way that the camera zooms down to show that it's Pennywise standing there with the shawl, and then back up and to Tim Curry's "Kiss Me Fat Boy."
Kiss me, fat boy. Oh, it's so good. I don't love the fat phobia, but I love Tim Curry saying "Kiss me, fat boy."
It's so good.
And I've got to tell you, 1990. Not a hint of gay panic in the scene. It is like I made a wish for this to happen, because I am shocked that somebody didn't direct John Ritter to be like, you just kissed a man, freak out about it. And for it to be absent speaks very, very highly of Ritter, his performance, and the direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I believe Ritter even helped campaign just to get this It miniseries made, because he was originally...
Ritter was a huge fan.
he was supposed to do The Stand. That didn't work out, so he pushed to have It along with ABC, and thusly we have the It miniseries today. So I really do love that. I think it works really well. I think it's extremely effective. I also feel like it must be so like violating, not just to be tricked into kissing Pennywise, but also to have the face paint on, because it's like there is now physical residue of Pennywise on me. It's just awful, especially because it's like clown paint too.
Ugh, ooh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. And then, like, in a later scene, while they're waiting to get news back on how Mike is doing, like, there's that conversation between Ben and Bev where they start talking about similar stuff, and then Bev freaking out as he talks to Bev as those echoes happen. It's like a reflection of a really good scene done really well.
Agreed.
And I really enjoyed it.
Totally.
And take a shot every time I said really in that sentence, and you would have like 4 of them.
Well, and then that also is like, it ends up turning around positively, because then that starts to kick off like we're actually becoming romantically engaged with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Ritter as a fan of the miniseries too, I wanted to make sure and pull this quote in because I grabbed it from my notes. Ritter, when he was campaigning to be part of it, said, "I will play any part. Quote, I will play the girl. Just put me in this movie."
Which is like so perfect because I can hear him saying that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In a very John Ritter kind of way.
John Ritter, rest in peace. You were too wonderful for this world.
Oh, such a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So the remaining 5 members of the Losers Club and the 2 silver stones, earrings, whatever, representing Stan and Mike head back into the sewers. They find Audra's purse, and Bill runs ahead of the group. It has her! She's been damseled! They find their way back to the cistern where they faced Pennywise before as Georgie's boat flows to them. A vision of Georgie tries to trick Bill, but with help from his friends, he sees through the illusion. Bill sets the boat back down and it flows, and they follow it to its lair.
This is where Eddie kind of comes out in front of the door to it, which I know we will spend some time talking about. But this is where he's like, I've never had sex. I'm a virgin. And I am a virgin because I have never been in love with someone and I don't ever feel close to someone. And I need that in order to have sex, which is just for anyone who's out there who feels that way, like you are on the Arrow A spectrum. We here on this podcast welcome you. But in 1990, we just didn't have that language for Eddie. It just did not exist.
Yep. Some of us even are those things, so we would get along with Eddie quite well.
100%. So, bring it on, Eddie. Like, this was me. I just didn't realize it. And I just wanted, Ben, truly and honestly. I wanted a hero. I wanted a hero with facial hair. And but unfortunately, I think that for a horror movie, though, this just doesn't end up working here. I wish that this had happened at the Chinese restaurant. I wish that it had happened at the library. Maybe after Stan's taunting about how's your sex life? What sex life? I think that would have gone really well. Here, I want to follow the boat into this little creepy door. And unfortunately, this sort of hangs. Unfortunately, it just doesn't fit the sequence well enough.
Yeah.
It ruins the pacing.
It's a great coming out. It really is very good. It just doesn't belong here. I wish Bev had been like, we'll talk about this later. We have to go kill this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, our first awkward steps into the world as a little queer baby, in 1990, sure, I'll take it.
You know what? That's true. And we as queer people are notorious for coming out at the wrong time. We are really bad at it. We're like,
very true.
When should I tell my family? Thanksgiving dinner? Great idea.
Oh my God.
They can't get away, and neither can I.
Delightful. Okay, can we talk about the door for a second? Because
please, Marilee, I was waiting for this moment. Truly and honestly, all podcast long, 2.5 hours, I've been waiting for this moment. What the fuck is this door?
Okay, because the set design for the tiny door, surrounded by bones, makes me die laughing. Because who made that? Why is it like that? Do we think it made the door? I think it made the door. I love it.
You think You think Pennywise is running out to the pharmacy to buy little candles to put in front of its little creepy goblin door? Because there are lit candles in front of it, too.
I know, it's insane. Like, I have to imagine that, because, like, who else would have built that door?
I'm just thinking of, like, Pennywise, but it's, like, spider form, and he's going around and it's just like, I must add more candles here.
Like they said, he's like, 6 for $2. This is great.
More bones.
I can stock up. I've got this huge cavern. I can stock up on these candles.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so, like, it's just there, and they don't explain it, and like
it's just there, and then they go inside. Like truly and honestly, I think all it is they needed something to go through. Like they needed a portal to go through, and they decided that they would use something from like Labyrinth that they had laying around the studio.
I kind of like it from like a world buildy sort of way. Like it kind of implies like, oh, maybe other people came here before the losers and they've stopped Pennywise every 30 years. But I'm doing too much work on behalf of the miniseries if I do that, so.
You are. Well, we must go through the door. We must go through the creepy little door, and we find ourselves in a giant subterranean cavern. The losers see the bodies of hundreds of victims, including Audra, floating in some kind of webbing. Anti-gravity webbing. It appears spider-like and alien. Bev looses a rock from the slingshot, but misses the first shot, and the second reflects off of its carapace. It deploys its deadlights, which paralyze Bill, Richie, and Ben. Eddie goes to spray his inhaler on it, saying it's battery acid, but it doesn't work the same as before, and Eddie is attacked and mortally wounded. Bev recollects one of the stones and shoots it in the soft underside where the deadlights are coming from. It retreats, but it isn't over. The losers go deeper in to finish it, attacking it with their bare hands until it is finally dead. Eddie dies shortly thereafter.
R.I.P. Eddie, my boy.
Sorry. Yeah. Wow. Bury your gaze.
Immediately.
Right? Yeah,
immediately.
Comes out, immediately sent to super hell. Like Supernatural took notes.
Yeah. But, what
actually, okay. We said it so long ago at the very beginning. Marilee, you said that Eddie and Richie kind of trade places in terms of sexuality. I think they did it because specifically they wanted to avoid burying your gaze with Eddie in the new one, because they also know social media exists. And if we do this, everyone is going to come after our asses, and we don't need that kind of heat. This is neither here nor there. We will talk about the It movies at some point. But right now, poor Eddie is attacked and mortally wounded by the crab It.
Yeah, and in his defense, I do think he's a lot farther away when he tries the battery acid move this time. I don't know that it reaches that far. So, he did his best. And he also, of the gentlemen that are left in, facing down it, he's the only one who has the bright idea of covering the deadlights as he walks toward it. Yeah. Come on. All three of them, they see Bill get trapped. They're like, oh no, I gotta rescue Bill. And they go and then they get trapped. And then it's very silly.
We're in the end game now, which is what it is, which is that we only have a few minutes of film left in the canister. And so I do think that this is rushed. This is totally rushed, which is why it feels that way, Mary.
Yeah, it's very silly. It's very silly.
Well, speaking of silly things, I feel like we must address the giant alien spider in the room and talk about its final form.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this is one of those things that I think is true with a lot of Eldritch horror, which is that reading a novel about it is much, much more frightening than seeing a visualization of it. Because I could hit this alien thing with a baseball bat. But what I read as a child was truly horrific. But here is a little guy. He's just a little guy with some bright lights.
I mean, I don't like spiders. So if I saw a giant spider that fucking size with pincers that big and weird, strangely human, gigantic eyes, I would freak right the fuck out. So I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, and it was giving me the praying mantis from Buffy season 1. Apparently, I was like, okay,
yeah, it's a little more crab than spider, but it's still gets enough spider that I don't like it. I don't like it.
From my memory, and again, I read this as a child, but again, this had a very lasting impact on me. The image that I think comes closest to how I remember envisioning this, because it shared human-like facial features or body features, is Motor, who we talked about on the Ritual episode, because it was sort of labyrinthian in its design, that there were legs where there shouldn't be legs, and there was a face, and there was a torso. And I just think that was too hard to achieve with 1990 and the budget that was available.
Oh, no, it took months to build this thing. And there was a guy inside of it, and he was like in pain while he was controlling this thing.
Oh, I hate that for him. I wish it looked better.
He even said after, like years later, he was interviewed and he was like, there's some things that we could have fixed about the miniseries. One of the things would be the ending and the giant it monster. And it's like, bruh, this is 1990, so I will give them credit for where it's due. For a TV miniseries budget that is, for a TV miniseries that's also 3 hours long, you know what? Good for you guys.
Yeah.
You've successfully crafted a spooky-looking monster. It's just a shame. It's also still kind of silly-looking. And it just is a bit anticlimactic.
And I think my other problem with it is it's so small.
It's
because
like a car.
In the novel, it's big enough that like Bill is inside of it. And erupts from it in the victory moment. And so it looks a little too bug-like, like insects, and I'm scared of insects. I famously on this podcast have talked about my fear of insects. But in this moment, I kind of feel like the losers are going to win because this isn't enough of a threat, and they do, and that's fine. But I wish this was something more. And yet, I don't know that anything I see would have been as good as my imagination, and that is the power of novels.
Yeah, I do also think that we lose the Tim Curry aspect with the giant crab part of like what's going on, and like Tim Curry highlight. We've all talked about how incredible his performance is, and like how good Pennywise he is. Like as soon as we like go to the like the under the carapace, like under this clown shell, we've lost Tim Curry and we've lost a lot of the menace.
Yeah, agreed. I totally agree, Marilee.
Imagine if we had another monologue like Eater of Worlds and Children.
Yeah.
That was aimed at adults.
Yeah.
Eater of Worlds and Children, and all I see is 6 big children or 5 big children would have been such a banging line to get echoing through this cavern. That would have terrified me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't even have to like animate the monster's mouth or anything like that. It could have all been like psychic because we know it can do that.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, but
it's fine.
The battle is won. So
Sure.
And Eddie is dead.
dead.
R.I.P. baby boy.
Your beautiful blonde locks.
And like he's like
agreed.
Again,
Marilee.
I laughed at inappropriate times, but like the way that Richie carries him out is very funny to me.
What were they doing?
Fireman carry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Mike narrates the end of the film. His memory is already starting to fade. Richie has returned to Hollywood, acting opposite a comedy partner who's a lot like Eddie. Ben and Bev are married and already pregnant. Audra, however, has not yet recovered, and Bill is about to take her home when he sees the bicycle he rode as a child, called Silver. The bike saved Stan's life once, so maybe it could help her. He rides with her down a hill, going faster and faster. Suddenly, Audra wakes up from her unresponsive state. They embrace in the middle of fucking traffic and take us into credits.
Yep.
I don't know, y'all. It's in the book, so like.
Listen.
It's cute.
Is the bike silly? Yeah, of course it is. Do I like it? Yeah, I do. I like it. It's a silly end of this movie, but I think it's earned, and we all deserve a little cheese sometimes as a treat.
I agree.
The schmaltz is good sometimes, especially after everything they just went through, and especially after everything that we went through, because we're a modern audience. We had to just watch this for 3 hours. 1990 audiences watched this over 2 nights. I would feel like I need a happy fucking ending right the fuck now, or I'm going to lose it.
And right before the sequence, what you had to watch was Mama makes whites bright like the summer. Mama's got the power of Clorox too.
Or George H.W. Bush saying, like, well, I think we've done well during Operation Desert Storm. And I think we'll get out of here and never go back to the Middle East, especially not with my son.
God.
Wow. Incredible. 1990. What a time.
What a time.
I was born. I was alive when this came out. I was a little baby. But yeah. So guys, that was it.
That was it.
How did we feel? That was it.
That was it.
How did we feel about it in terms of horror or queerness after our conversation? Are there any other final thoughts for our episode?
I had forgotten about this until you read words that I know that I typed some like 24 hours ago. But the little, and I don't even know why it's there, but the little moment of being like, Richie returned to Hollywood and he has a comedy partner who looks exactly like Eddie, you know, his soulmate because they're gay together, hit so hard now that we're thinking about this as the queer thing. And I guess I will eventually watch the new version, chapter 2. I just have not done it. So maybe I will be excited by how that plays out. Maybe I will not. And I like the idea that you'll try to find facsimiles of love you once carried, whether that is platonic or romantic. And that this found family, even though they forget each other almost instantly,
which breaks my heart. I hate that they don't remember each other afterwards. Like, if I could change anything about this ending, it wouldn't be the stupid bike who, again, I love that shit. It would be that they remember each other. I hate that they forget again.
I kind of like it.
I like it. I like it as
enemies.
I like it as the sadness, but then the notion that you'll always find those friends in other ways. It does speak to the maturity and innocence, which that is what the story is about. Like it, I do understand that necessity.
Yes,
Plus, I think it's also like we've done the thing that you shouldn't do, which is that you have gone home again, and you actually managed to do it. You cannot leave home without leaving something else behind in return.
Right.
So I think losing their memories is bittersweet, but it also feels correct.
Yeah.
Listen, I objectively, you guys are correct. I still hate it. Thanks.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And then I've got a subjective thing to balance that then, Marilee, because it's the horror end of this. And I feel like I've said this 3 times on the podcast now, but this is the third. I think this is the scariest thing we've watched for the podcast.
Yeah, that's fair. This is a scary one.
This was
scary. Really scary. I said at the before we started recording, I said I liked this more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
and I think
same.
that's because I thought 1990 TV movie, surely it cannot be that good. They spent all their money on getting Tim Curry in here. No one else is in here that I care about or know or blah, 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 blah. It's fucking Boehner.
It's so bad.
Not Boehner Maine, but just like Boehner with an E.
Yeah,
I think it's not perfect. I think there's definitely some issues with this that if we could turn back time, as Cher once said, and make things better, we would. And I think we have interviews from production crew that even say that. So I think that's fair. But if you are a person like me who is just like, well, like the newer It movies are what I need, or I'll just read the book. Do not overlook the miniseries. No. Tim Curry is wonderful. He is not the only draw to this, though.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. It works. I hadn't really seen it as an adult. I've seen the other movies. I've read, like, I know what happens in it. But, like, this, there's a magic to it in a real way. And I had such a good time, and I didn't expect that.
Agreed. This was great. I'm so glad we got to do this. I'm glad that this was our start of clown horror, and I'm excited to see where else we'll go as we track this phenomenon through the month of August.
Yeah, and this would be a really great segue, but I just do want to say that there is a new It show on HBO that's going to be set in the newer movies. It's by Machete, the same director. It's got Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. I know I'm gonna watch it, and I'm interested to see where they go, but I don't think it's gonna be as good as this TV show, personally.
It's hard to beat. It's a high bar.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you all so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Let's make a promise. We will all meet together again on social media. You can find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at FearCodedPod.
Listen, I need the two of you to promise that if we're still podcasting in 30 years, somebody comes and fires a silver slingshot through my head. Like, truly and honestly, I need to be in an old folks' home if it's 30 years later.
Well, that's a bummer to me because I've said I want to keep doing this podcast forever. So
I will be very old in 30 years, apparently.
Yeah,
I
I
will
know.
kill you, David. I will just
You can-
straight up
You can bring
beam you with a silver rock.
you can bring me back, but like, just at least end it the first time. Anyway, this podcast, regardless if it's 2025 or 2055 and the oceans have burned up. But this podcast is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you'd like to listen to more queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of Glitterjaw shows at glitterjaw.com. And we've talked about very good clown horror, so let's talk about really bad clown horror as we debate whether or not art is political as we continue Auguste with Terrifier 2. But until next time, we will simply say goodbye.
Bye.
Clorox 2 All-Fabric Bleach does more than brighten whites. It removes stains and amplifies bright colors, brings colors back to life.
Mama keeps me looking like I'm brand new. Mama's got the magic. Mama's got the magic. The Clorox 2.
My bookcase just arrived.
Tyler, is your bookcase okay?
It's smaller than I thought it would be, but it is here.